What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the Men's Room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the Men's Room.
Hello, here we go. Welcome to season 17, episode number 3751. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, the Ted Smith, woo! And Mike Hawk. And you are the Men's Room. On tap today, the return of Who Sucks Less. We will play Profile This. Plus headlines, Men's Room shout of the day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Ted.
Clack, drinking and drag.
All right, here we go. Florida drivers should not be shocked to see a huge alligator tied to the back of a man's car. Meanwhile, Ukrainian hackers send Russian soldiers hot pics of women and find out their location from afar. Babysitter is arrested after leaving 4-year-old home alone. Hey, this bar of soap smells like breast milk and cologne. And a man returns library book 40 years later, actually pays the overdue fees. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, we talked briefly yesterday about a Brazilian fisherman whose boat sank in shark-infested waters. Now, he survived by taking refuge in a floating freezer. And in spite of being a fisherman and on a boat alone, he couldn't swim. So the freezer saved his life for the 11 days that he was adrift at sea. Now, he was eventually rescued by another fisherman. Now, a different man, he was swept out to sea off the coast of Greece. Now, he could swim, but he was fighting a strong current. So he clung to a soccer ball for 18 hours before finally being rescued. Now, the good news is both men were, in fact, rescued. But look, sometimes we need rescuing. Things go real wrong, and we need help. And you don't have to be lost at sea. In Thailand, a 54-year-old woman had to be rescued after she locked herself in her own bathroom for 3 days. Now, it sounds ridiculous. And it is. But I once did the same thing. I was about 5 years old, locked myself in a bathroom, and had to be rescued, so to speak, by my neighbor, who had to grab a ladder and climb up to the second floor. I admit it, I was not a smart kid, but that's okay, because there's lots of not smart to go around. 2 guys in New Hampshire, they decided to explore the mountains there. With no equipment, no training, no gear. They decided to go off trail. Then they made the fatal mistake, well, not quite fatal, but made the mistake. They decided they wanted to attempt to climb a steep rock face. Again, with no gear, no plan, no experience. They both had to be rescued, and they recently got the bill for the price of the rescue. And do you know why they got charged? Because they had no gear, no plan, and no experience. But look, it's happened to all of us, or at least it's happened to someone you know. Miles, you got your head, stuck in the railing of a house when you were a little kid?
I did.
Had to call the fire department. Sometimes it's just what happens. So today we want to know, whether locked in, locked out, locked up, lost, or trapped, who needed rescuing?
Be a part of the big show. Call 206-421-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live. And send those emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
The debauchery rolls on. You're listening to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Hello, Machalos. Away we go. Welcome to season 17, episode number 3751. What a large and in charge program we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeat, the exciting return of Who Sucks Less. Steve, you bring us 3 stories from the news each and every week. I don't know how you find these terrible stories of people doing bad things, but you dig hard and you find them.
I do.
You present them to us. We have to determine out of the 3 stories which one sucks the least. How are we looking this week on Who Sucks Less?
Mike and I agreed that these people, they just suck. They're not evil. They're not the worst, but they can do better. They're all very entitled. And Mike and I agree. We hate all three.
Also just about entitlement. Not necessarily bad decision-making, but entitlement.
A lot of times, entitlement leads to bad decision-making. I think that's the best way to say that.
I get it. Who Sucks Less coming up also today, exclusively on the Odyssey app. We'll head over to the Odyssey app for the Men's Room Happy Hour and episode number 241. If you have not downloaded the Odyssey app yet, do so, then search for the Men's Room Happy Hour channel. Keep in mind that only goes live Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock as we give you more Men's Room. And then there's also an explicit portion of the program as far as the language is concerned and the topics that are covered. So keep that in mind if there are kids in the room, but the Men's Room Happy Hour is coming up, episode number 241. And today on the question, whether maybe you were in jail, maybe you were locked out of your home somehow, maybe you were lost, maybe you were trapped, maybe you were locked in. Our question is, who needed rescued? Now, Ted, I told Steve this story earlier. I had a buddy in Annapolis, Maryland, and he was a successful corporate lawyer. I cannot remember who he worked for, but he worked for a pretty big firm. And initially, he was just starting out. And so he worked a ton of hours. You know, whatever the law firm was, he did most of the grunt work, and he was there probably 70 some hours a week. And he ended up marrying a woman who was a lawyer as well and a partner in a different firm.
Okay.
So they got together, and she was, let's say, brought up in a to-do neighborhood of Bethesda. Her parents had a lot of money. I want to say she went to American University or one of these expensive ones in D.C. So she was very prim, very proper. My buddy Roy decided that he didn't want to be a lawyer anymore. So he was going to open a bar, and he was going to open it in downtown mainstream Annapolis. And the idea would be you could come in and get pitchers of beer and chicken wings, hamburgers, that kind of food. And the place is still open to this day. They have great chicken wings. They did then right near Ruby and Ketchy's. Ruby and Ketchy's? No, what's the name? The Chicken Roos. Chicken Roos, which is a diner downtown. Anyway, his wife did not like the fact that he stopped being a lawyer.
All right.
And decided to be a bar owner. But that's what he wanted to do. He couldn't stand being a lawyer anymore. So keep in mind, his wife is not, they are not doing very well at this point.
You mean interpersonally?
Physically?
It's just
mentally? Financially?
There's friction as far as, you know, she really, her parents were to do, they wanted, she's going to marry a lawyer, she's a lawyer, they're all going to be very successful. You're not marrying a bar owner, and she kind of felt the same way. Like, I don't want you just being in a bar all the time with your friends and everything. Like, you know, like.
Even though that's every guy's goal.
Sure. At any rate, they lived downtown. And they had a really nice row home on a brick street in Old Annapolis.
All right.
And on top of it was a poop deck kind of thing. Well, you could go up there, no problem with a ladder, and you'd pop the top and get up there, and you could sit on the roof, and you could see the Capitol, you could see all of Annapolis, you could see the water. It was beautiful. But his wife wasn't really too into him smoking weed either. So when we went over to his house, we would go up on his roof and smoke weed up there. That way there wasn't any smoke in the house because there was no real balconies on these old units. You know, open up a window, whatever. But you got to keep in mind, weed was not legal. So we get up, we go up on the top, and I go up, and I'm behind Roy. He goes up first. He opens up the hatch. He climbs up. I go up. I take the lid. I put it down. It locks. That's how it works. There's a latch on it where you put a little stick up like you would like the hood of your car.
All right.
I did not know that.
So you just popped it down.
I popped it down. Like as soon as I get up, boom, and he's like, oh no. Well, no matter what, we're going to get high. So he did, in fact, have a cell phone at this point in time. This was like 1998, 99, whatever. And he called the bar and got his manager, who was going to come over and unlock the top of the attic part. So we decided, well, the hell with it. We're going to get high. We're up here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we came up here. So we start smoking and everything else, and we can hear him come in through the front door. Like, all right, thank God, man, you know, whatever. And Roy bangs on the top like, man, we're idiots. It's right up here. Like, because I don't think he'd ever been to that point.
Sure,
Like, keep going upstairs, and you'll find it when you get to the top. He's like, yeah, man, it's my bad. Door pops open. It's his wife. Now, we'd been up there.
She was home the whole time?
No, she just got home early, and we'd have been up there for about an hour and 15 minutes. Like, okay, where's the manager guy? Because he hadn't gotten to the bar yet. So he was coming in from, like, wherever he was going, Upper Marlboro or something. So he still had to drive and get there. And then he was going to come over. And first thing he was going to do is get me and Roy off of his roof. Well, about 45, 50 minutes go by, however long it was, and the door pops open, and she's like, what are you doing up here? He's like, oh, we accidentally came up here and the door closed. And
did you have everything in your pocket yet, or was stuff still sitting out?
We were both so high. I mean, she knows her husband. She could look at him and go, Roy, are you high? Yes. All right. And then she closes the door. You know what I mean? Like, oh, come on, knock on the door again. And then she opens it, flings it open, and then she leaves. She walks out like in a huff. It's just like, oh, God. Like,
right.
Oh, God. So then I'm the evil one because I'm probably, and it was his weed.
Of course.
But I'm probably the one who brought it over. You know how that crap works out. So whatever. But it seemed.
Wait, was it his or did you bring it over?
It was his. We went over to his house because he had it.
But she's going to believe
it's
that
mine, and I came over.
Right. Just the way you said that. Like, I mean, I probably brought it over, but it was his.
I'm not saying that I didn't have weed on me in my house or whatever. It was just the reason we went up there is because, he had a little box, he had a little hiding area and all that stuff. They didn't make it very long, believe it or not.
Don't say.
But here's an interesting fact about Roy. Ted, he went to the University of South Carolina.
Sure.
That was kind of a big time party school. And his roommate, Sony, was the goalkeeper for the Gamecocks, for the men's soccer team. Yeah.
All right.
He's also the drummer in Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah.
So whenever he would come to town.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So whenever he would come into town and he'd be sitting at the bar, I never said anything to him. I was just like, oh, man, that's the drummer of Hootie and the Blowfish. He had long blonde hair.
Right.
Oh, you couldn't miss him.
No, he's a taller dude. He's a goalie, man. He's built like a goalie. Thin.
Well, and like my dad lived in Columbia, South Carolina when I was in high school for like 3 years. Right? So that's where the university is.
Yeah.
So I've been to their Hall of Fame. They have some sports accomplishments. They have some other alumni. But make no doubt, it's a shrine to Hootie.
It's all about Hootie.
Well, because I don't
Did
know
they
that
all
all.
go there?
I don't know that they all did, but the drummer Darius and I want to say one other guy.
You just needed Darius to go there, and then you can claim the whole band. But the fact that they had at least two, shoo it.
Yeah.
Well, I know one of the guys. Maybe they all met down there at school. Was from the D.C. area. Because they used to play the Commanders fight song whenever they played in like the Maryland, D.C. area.
Okay.
So they always had a little something for us.
But I'll tell you what, it was just to see the look on her face. And it felt, once you get high, time takes a weird way. It's either it goes by real fast or just really creeps. And we just kept looking over the edge. And you know how I am about heights. I'm just looking over to see if we can see his car pull up or whatever, to see if there's anybody that Roy knows that maybe we can yell down like a neighbor. Because we didn't lock the front door.
Right.
I mean, the door's open. So the idea being, all right, whoever, if Roy knows anybody, we can yell down and get somebody up here to get us off the roof. It was almost like the town just turned into a ghost town at this point. And then, as soon as we got down there, there were like 900 people in the streets. Of course. That's kind of the way it felt. We just.
And it's tough, too. If you've just smoked marijuana, like, if somebody asks you, right, and it's a wife or a parent or something, it's very hard because you just freeze.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even a drunk guy or drunk woman will kind of start talking a little bit. But, yeah, if somebody just goes, did you just smoke weed? It's like,
Did I just smoke weed?
No.
Me? Yeah. Yeah, once you repeat the question I asked you, I'm like, the answer is yes.
This is a crazy story.
Did you steal my weed? Did I steal your weed? Okay, man, where's my weed? Where's your weed?
Yeah. And sometimes, too, you just get trapped outside, say at like a wedding. Then you go back in and they're like, you've been smoking weed, haven't you? No. You've been gone for half an hour. That Steve guy's really cool.
Right.
We were just talking.
It's got a conversation, man.
Oh, my God. After his boat sank, a Brazilian fisherman reportedly survived 11 days in the shark-infested Atlantic Ocean by taking refuge inside of his floating freezer. Romaldo Rodriguez departed on what was supposed to be a 3-day fishing trip in early August, but off the coast of northern Brazil. His 23-foot-long wooden boat began filling with water and sank. Per the Insider magazine, one thing that did not sink, however, was his freezer. I saw it was not sinking. I jumped inside, said the 44-year-old who does not know how to swim.
Why would you go on a boat alone for 3 days if you don't know how to swim?
He said sharks, at one point, surrounded the freezer, but eventually swam away. Other times, the freezer would begin filling with water, but Rodriguez said he'd scoop it out with his hands. I did not sleep. I saw the dawn, the dusk, asking God to send someone, please, to rescue me, he said. I thought my end was coming, but I was thinking about my kids, my wife, all my family. It gave me strength, it gave me hope. And just as his hope was fading, he spotted a fishing boat whose occupants pulled him aboard. He was then taken off the coast of Suriname, taken to a hospital where he was treated for dehydration, sunstroke, all the regular stuff you would expect. Authorities also noted that he did not have proper documentation, and he has since returned to Brazil. He says, I was born again. I thought I wouldn't be telling the story, but I'm back. And added he had no food or water. The only thing I had was the freezer. He said it was a miracle.
The fact that there were no fish in his freezer says he's not a very good fisherman. That's a side note. I'm just throwing it out there.
Our question, locked in, locked out, locked up, lost or trapped. Who needed rescued? 206-421-ROCK.
There's a lot about that guy that says maybe not the best fisherman.
I can't swim, but I'm going to go out on the boat alone. I don't know what he did on the boat, but the boat sunk. But there's no indication that there was a storm. Right when you go to the storm, it's not like the weather was bad.
It just sounds like the boat sank.
Like you had a crappy boat with a dude who can't swim and obviously doesn't fish very well. Maybe don't be a fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Keith. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, Victor.
Hola.
How are you guys today?
We're doing great, Keith. How about you, man?
Doing well, man. Doing well. I'm actually sitting outside the liquor store so I can get on Team Not Sober.
Okay, all right. There you go.
Nothing screams class like sitting outside of the liquor store. I was like,
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to be inside there when you guys answered.
fair enough.
No. You made the right call, but Thrill's right. It's just an odd situation.
It's always just a bad look, you know?
I kind of like it, though. Maybe he's talking to us. Maybe people think he's setting up a drug deal.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe I am. What's up, Ted? What you got?
Play your cards right and it'll happen for all of us.
I know a
There you
roof
go.
in Maryland that's full of weed.
Yeah, good times.
Oh, goodness. So, just real quick, before I get my story, I have given successfully CPR to 6 people and 1 not so successfully.
Now, is this in your line of...
Ranging from a 4-year-old girl to a 40-plus-year-old tweaker outside my house about a month ago.
Is this in your line of work, or is it all just coincidence?
No. I got certified in my 20s and just kept my certification going.
Yeah, but
Just
most
a good
people
thing
I
to
know that get certified, I don't know that any of them have ever actually had to resuscitate anybody.
Yeah, no, I had to do, I did one on a 4-year-old girl about 3-4 months ago in a Winco grocery store.
Jesus.
What was the situation there?
I don't know. I went out for a break, had a smoke, came into the store, and I hear this woman screaming, my baby, my baby. And I look over, and they're just standing around, and there's, like, blood coming out of her mouth. I don't know if she hit her head, like, when she fell or what. And, you know, they're just, like, shaking her. I was like, guys, everybody get back, get back. And because with children, you put them on your arm, like, kind of like up, like with their back up.
Correct.
And that's where you start doing the compressions and everything. And I cleared her mouth out of blood and everything. She was fine. Luckily, there was paramedics like already on their way, and there was a fire. Well, it was a firehouse. Luckily, it's like 4 blocks away from the Winco, so they were there really quick. And yeah, so had to do that like at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Have you ever unsuccessfully tried to resuscitate someone?
You're gonna love this answer. Yeah, my mom.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Jesus,
That was my
Miles' question.
I know. Come on, man. Don't step on my stuff.
I was reading your notes.
Yeah.
Oh, my
She passed away last Christmas Eve.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, why did this move? This thing is...
Once again, bedroom colors.
I'll
Here
cut
are
him
the
slack
10
on
words
that.
You can't say on the radio. Sucker, mother, and please keep those words in mind when calling. Now back to the program.
Now I got to write down a quick mental note. Don't ask Miles questions. All right.
So I can't say the word bum and the other word together?
No, sir.
No, you can't. Right, you can't say the F word, period, or the S word.
No, I didn't say the F word. I said butthead. My bad.
Oh, but head.
Yeah.
No offense. I know you're talking about your mother, but you were kind of going through something right there. You clearly dropped an effing guy. Or something.
If I did, I apologize.
No problem.
No worries.
Really for you guys. But yeah, so there's a place in Auburn called Flaming Geyser Park, and as teenagers we would go and float the river, and it's a fairly dangerous river. Like people die there in the summertime a lot. You know, because you're teenagers, you're getting drunk, high, whatever. But there's a place called Beer Bottle Beach where all of us would, like, you know, get together, you know, have our beverages and stuff like that. And my buddy and I were throwing a football in about, you know, waist-deep water, you know, just cooling down. And it went over my head, and I went to go get the ball. Next thing I know, I'm getting swept away by the river, like, badly. And my best friend jumps on the shore, and he's running alongside me, and I was, I'm a strong swimmer. I'm fit at that time, and I was finally able to dig my feet into the gravel, and my buddy was right there, best friend, known him since 4th grade, pulled me out, and I'm like spitting up water, can't breathe, and it's just coming out. And we finally get back to shore, and everybody's like, dude, what? And somebody handed me a shot of 99 bananas, which I absolutely never had before, and I absolutely hate still to this day. And it made me throw up the rest of the water. I'm like, well, he kind of helped me too.
Yeah. All right.
It serves a medicinal purpose.
And it tasted like bananas.
Yeah, no, it was, oh, God. Ugh. So gross. I'm definitely not going inside the store and buying that.
Well, nice work, doing what you did, jumping into action with all those other people. That's
mostly.
Unfortunately, you have to be in that situation. That's a lot. That's like you with the Heimlich.
Yeah, but at least you know it. The Heimlich, I think maybe I could figure out, but like CPR, like, can you help me? I'd be like, no. I mean, I can try, man, but I cannot contribute positively to this.
Locked in, locked out, locked up, lost or trapped. Who needed rescued? 206-421-ROCK.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
For the first time, we're hearing from a man who lost his arm in an alligator attack earlier this summer. Eric Murda, who is still adjusting to life with one arm, says he spent 3 grueling days in the swamp after a gator bit his arm off while he was swimming in Lake Manatee. There have been at least a half dozen gator attacks this season around the Tampa Bay area, most recent involving a 77-year-old woman over the Labor Day weekend. Murda is one of those who lived to tell the story. Not the smartest decision a Florida boy can make, he said during an exclusive interview with 10 Tampa Bay, less than 2 months since the attack. Murda said he got lost in the woods in the Lake Manatee fish camp. When he finally found the lake, he decided to take a swim and swim across, rather than walk around the lake.
I understand the thinking, but you're in Florida.
I look over and there's a gator on my right-hand side, so I went to swim and she got my forearm. So I grabbed her like this. She was trying to roll, but she snapped her head, so my arm went backward, like this, which we don't know because we don't see him on the interview. The alligator dragged him underwater 3 times. She's already got my arm, so when we came up the 3rd time, she finally did her death roll and took my off with my arm. That's just where Murda's story actually begins.
Oh, good.
He said he swam back to where he started and began to walk, wander, and scream for help. Bones poking out, along with muscles. If I tried to move my fingers, you could see it was twitching. Murder said he couldn't put the pain into words. He spent 3 days trying to find his way out of the swamp.
Jesus, dude.
I felt like I was walking in circles. I didn't know. So I followed the sun and power lines, stuff I could see. Finally, on day number 3, he stumbled on a fence and a man on the other side. I said, a gator got my arm, he said. Holy smokes, man, according to the guy. First thing Murda said he wanted was water. Then he was on a stretcher headed to Saratoga Memorial Hospital, where surgeons amputated the majority of his right arm. Murda said he's adapting to a new normal with a new perspective and wants to warn others to be more cautious around Florida waters. Do not feed the gators, and you guys know who you are, throwing rocks at them. I've seen it on all the job sites. Leave them gators alone. Our question, locked in, locked out, locked up, lost or trapped, who needed rescued? 206-421-ROCK.
Guess who it is, Ted? James, welcome to the Men's Room.
Hey, how's it going? Hola.
Hola. So who needed rescuing?
I was younger. I want to say I was maybe 13 or so at the time. I want to say my brother was 17, give or take. He was a bonehead for sure back then. I'd just come home from school and sat down, and, I'd made some cereal or something, whatever, and he comes running in the door, and I'm just thinking, what the heck, he's like, go lock the door, and he runs down the hall into, one of our guest rooms back there. So I'm like, wondering what's going on. There's like 3 police officers coming in, chasing after him, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? So, looking around, trying to find where he had went, he ran into the room and had opened up the window and, busted out the screen so it looked like he had jumped out the window, and then pulled out the hide-a-bed and climbed inside of the couch.
Huh.
So the police go in, looking all over for him, and, even me, I didn't think, that he was that sharp at the time, you know. But anyways, he was hiding in there. They thought that he had actually went out the window, so they had immediately, you know, ran outside, you know, ran off, started looking for him, and I'm just in the house like, what the heck just happened? And so, you know, about this time, I hear him. He's calling for me. You know, he's like, "Hey, man, come help me out of here." And I'm like, "What? Where are you?" You know, and finally find him. Well, he had gotten stuck in the couch bed.
Like, what position was he in?
He was kind of in like a fetal position. I mean, he wasn't all that small, but he wasn't super big. I mean, he was big enough to fit in there. But, yeah, man, I want to say it took probably 45 minutes or so just to get him out. I had to wait for my other brother to get home to help us lift up the couch itself to kind of, you know, try and get him out. And about that time he comes out, and, he had a little bruise and stuff on his leg from getting in there and getting back out. But, yeah, by that time the police show up again, and they ended up catching him anyway.
Do you remember what they were after him for?
I think he had some kind of warrant or so. I know back then he was in and out of juvie quite a bit, just, being a real knucklehead, just wasn't really doing much, getting stoned all the time. And but if I remember right, I'm pretty sure that it was a warrant. They had come by, a time or two the week before or something, and yeah, it was definitely something.
So were you the only one in the house that was basically talking to the officers?
At the time, yeah, I was the only one there. And then my other brother, he was older than I am. He had showed up. He was in high school at that time, and when they had come back, he had spoke with him. We had to call my mom and everything. It was a mess. How's your brother doing now, or should I ask? No, actually, he's doing a lot better now. Definitely slow. Well, yeah. If you're gonna make dumb decisions, that's the time in your life when you do it.
Hopefully it is. Although I do like the idea of hiding in the sofa bed.
That's amazing. I never would even think of that.
I wouldn't think I could fit.
I wouldn't know how to close it.
Well, is an necessity something about necessity?
Necessity is the mother of invention. Yeah.
Right. So we would never think about it, but we're not hiding from the cops on a warrant either.
That's a good point. If the cops are chasing me and they have a warrant, I'll probably get real creative.
And that's how people end up in dumpsters, right? Like,
happens.
Unless you're like dumpster diving, for the most part, most people will never end up in a dumpster. But
if the cops are chasing you,
or you're running for fear of arrest or your life, like you might jump in that dumpster.
It's the only time I've hidden under a car in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Cops said they weren't looking for me specifically, but like 6 of us just doing what kids do, but we all just scattered. A couple of my buddies tried to outrun them, but they ended up getting taken, right? And I knew, like, man, they have their cars, you know what I mean? And they have radios. So I could see my buddies kind of go down. And I was pretty fast back in the day, but I'm like, I'm going to hide under a car. This is a massive parking lot. There's like 300 cars here. So they probably know I'm hiding under one of them, but I'm also hedging my bets that we haven't done anything so bad they're going to take the time to look under them.
Correct.
And they got my 2 buddies. So they may or may not rat me out. They didn't, which was nice. But I remember you could see, because you're kind of looking through all the cars, so you can just see their feet going by, and they're kind of scrambling, and you can tell they're pivoting back and forth, trying to figure out where to start looking. And I'm like, man, as long as they start like in a corner, I am money. But I'll stay there for like 30 minutes.
All right. That's always been my question. But yeah. How long do you wait?
You wait. But in their case, I heard them physically get back in their vehicles and leave, right? Without that, I probably would have been there until someone came back to the car like, hey, son, you got to get from under my car because I'm going to run you over. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's the only time I've done that.
Locked in, locked out, locked up, lost or trapped. Who needed rescued? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Mari. Welcome to the men's room.
How you doing?
Hola.
Well, it was back when I was like 16 years old, 1976, 4th of July weekend, as a matter of fact. I went camping with my buddy. He had his dirt bike, and we were taking turns riding up and down the gravel bar there on the river, and he held his hand up like, one more time, so I'm going to, one more time, I'm going to cut loose. So I'm cutting loose down this logging road and hit this corner wide open on RM 125, 61 miles an hour, and there's a car, bam.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was out, and I came to, and there's nobody there. I was I got both my legs were broke. I crawled up the hill, and the bike was gone, and I'm just sitting there alongside the road, water out in the woods. And all of a sudden, my buddy comes running up. He goes, "How are you?" He goes, "Where's my bike?" But he heard it. He heard it go wah 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 wah. 6 years, and then nothing. That's when I hit the car. But yeah, they left me for dead, man.
And they stole the bike?
That's crazy.
No, they threw the bike in bushes.
Jesus.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Well, they were not up to, they must have been up to no good.
I don't know, but I don't even know who it was. I know the car was white.
Based on the paint on your bike?
That's the last thing I seen before everything went black,
Okay.
I mean, that's a tough one, too. You're out on a logging road. It's not even like you're on a quiet road. You're on a road that nobody else is going to be on.
Right. And then, he goes, "Man, I got to go get help." And we were camped like about 5 miles away. He was back in like 45 minutes. I mean, he was just adrenaline running, But,
yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah, but yeah, that was my story, man.
That's crazy.
Did they ever find the guys that hit you?
Nope.
Yeah.
What about was your buddy's bike? I mean, was it totaled?
Oh, that's mangled. Need a whole front end on it,
Okay, that's not the worst.
Yeah, but I couldn't believe it. He runs up and he goes, "Where's my bike?"
Of course, those are his first words.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I was going to say, that happens, too, just when you're coming out of, like, getting knocked out or...
Sure.
I came out of a surgery once and was just like, "Where's my rubber band?" And they were like, "What?"
Oh, the one on your wrist?
Yeah. Because, like, I keep Brendan on my wrist now, but I used to always have a rubber band. I'm like, "I need that rubber band back." And they're like, "Okay, we'll go look in the room."
In other words,
they found it.
Yeah, but it's that same thing.
Did they find it, or did they just grab another rubber band?
I don't know.
They just grabbed another rubber band.
You're just groggy, so you're just like, all right. But again, that was so old school. I had my wisdom teeth out, and they put me all the way under.
He makes the point where there's something about, especially with like just motorbikes, and you keep hearing the same sound, and then there's an abrupt end to it. So my parents bought my brothers a little Honda 100, right, for the summer. So they're both at work. I'm home. I could not ride it. I could not get on it. He gave me a ride like 2 or 3 times. But we lived out in the woods, so all day, every day, obviously, he's like 15, 16. So he's super excited to have this bike. And all day I'm just here. So this went on for weeks and weeks. And then there's a day. Nothing. There's not a crack. Like, it just stops. So I don't give it much thought. There was like 10 minutes has gone by. I have not seen my brother. I have not heard the bike. So I'm like, let me go out in the woods and just go look for him. So I'm walking through the woods, and there's a little trail that he would follow. And sure enough, man, the bike's totaled. He's laying on the ground. He's holding his shoulder. He messed himself up pretty bad. Not quite hospital bad, but real bad. He was back there. He was more worried about trying to fix the bike in such a way that my father would not notice that he damaged the bike. Because one thing about my dad, if he bought you something and you messed it up doing something he asked you not to do, which my brother did plenty of on that particular bike, that was your ass, right? I mean, like, it was bad, man. So he's just like, I need your help. I think he's talking about his shoulder. I'm like, oh, my God, are you all right? It's like, F me, man, the bike. We got to fix the bike. So we rolled this thing back to the garage. We managed to get it looking good enough that my dad did not notice until the end of the summer.
All right. That's a win.
It was more like just bend some mirrors back, just bang out a few dents here and there. So it didn't look great, but we figured, my dad's going to park his car when he gets home, glance at the bike, not inspect it, and walk in the house. So, but for about 4 weeks after that, every time my father came home from work, my brother was like a meerkat, when they poke their head out of the hole, looking all nervous. So we'd hear him pull up, and here's my brother, and he'd just be dead silent in the house. And his eyes would just be bugged up, and I'm always just smiling like, it's all you, man. It's all
Jesus. As far as feeling trapped, reading the news today about what's going on up on Rainier.
And it's nice, no offense, but it's nice for you to get a win.
It is
all on your brother.
Because he got in trouble like twice. One was his bike, one was his fruit fly thing, but like otherwise it was always me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anytime it was him, and I had nothing to do with it, I'm just like, if you need any tips, I know how to deal with it because I'm always in trouble.
Right. The feeling of being trapped. I read the story about Rainier, and they thought it was like maybe a vent opened up this morning or whatever. Actually, it was just a cloud.
Yeah.
They believe.
It's been a long 2 years, all right?
Yeah,
the mountain wants to vent, let it vent.
So 10 years ago or so, I go up there with Hair Club, and right when we're going up the Muir Ice Field, which is a glacier.
But you guys are actually training to do this. This is
we're going up to the top. Unfortunately,
I think Thrill's just making the point. It's not like a day hike, and you guys
no.
You guys train for how long?
Oh,
Year?
4 months, 5 months.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, a long time.
Right.
Because you had to actually go through a kind of fitness regimen.
Exactly.
To be able to test to make sure that you were able to do it physically.
Yeah.
So you had to run a mile in this amount of time, whatever the deal was. So there was a lot of training involved. But this was the time. And it was probably very close to this weekend.
Yeah, it was Labor Day weekend.
So, this is the end of the season, to say the least. I mean, most of the time the window opens up in May. The glaciers have not begun to melt yet. It's a little bit easier to get up there the earlier you go because it's still frozen. You don't have to worry about too much, where at the end of the year, some bad weather can come in. A lot of the snow fields have opened up with crevasses and everything else based on the snow melt and the sun. So it's a little bit more treacherous. But as soon as we get on the field, man, it starts coming in sideways. And we knew it was coming, but we didn't know when it hit the mountain. You know, we got the weather report. They gave us the green light. We're on our way up there, and then all of a sudden, about halfway up the ice field, the S hits the fan. And I mean, it is blowing sideways to the point where if you stop to clear your goggles for 2 seconds, you would lose the person in front of you.
Right.
And there's 9 or 10 of us in a row. So we finally get up, we get up to the camp. And we got into the cabins, which was great.
Camp's what, like 10,000 feet, something like that?
Probably in there, the Camp Muir. It was, it's been there it's this old cobblestone thing. Mm-hmm. And it's just, thank God that thing is there. That building is there. Right. And there's also an outhouse there and a couple of other things. And the ranger station is up there as well. I did not know that at the time because, again, we're in a whiteout. So when we reach, we just, grab the cabin that's open. All of them are open. Do you know why? Because nobody was dumb enough to go up in there.
Yeah, you're correct. Just over 10,000 feet.
At this point, we just immediately eat and crash, not knowing what's going on outside. The next day we wake up. The snow is still blowing. The wind is still blowing. The wind was blowing over 100 miles an hour at that point in time. As a matter of fact, there was actually a tornado at the base of the mountain because the wind was blowing that hard. I can't remember where the tornado blew through, but it blew through someplace close. Anyway, like south of Black Diamond or something. But now we're stuck, and we can't move.
Right.
And we don't know when the storm's going to end. It just keeps blowing and keeps blowing to the point where even if you needed to go outside and use the bathroom, you needed to go rope up with a buddy who was going to go with you 50 feet. To the bathroom,
so that you don't disappear.
You don't disappear. That's exactly right, or you don't slip, or whatever the deal is. So this goes on for days. We are up there for 3 days, and keep in mind the food you kind of brought with. I could put a Verace's pizza in my backpack. Right. Like as far as my food goes, I mean, like it was just like nut bars and all these things.
Just like bean burritos, just for the protein angle.
And which is bad because you're in a room full of dudes. And if you like, it's amazing, like the cross section of people that do this. A lot of people who want to do this stuff, believe it or not, and it makes sense when I think about it, and you'll understand, is pilots. Because pilots fly beside that mountain. They fly
all
over
the time.
And they like, man, if I ever have a chance to climb that thing, because it's majestic from an airplane. It's kind of crazy when you're on it. Obviously, you don't have the same views. You're looking down. Either way, it's beautiful when you're up there, unless the wind's blowing 100 miles an hour and you can't see because you're in a whiteout. But we were just stuck. And there's nothing you can do. You couldn't take a little excursion hike. You couldn't really go anywhere safe.
So what do you do?
You're just sitting there.
You're just sitting there.
It's not even like they have an old people magazine like your dentist office.
Right. You're just waiting for something to happen with a storm. And about 2 days later, the clouds go below where we were. They go below 10,000 feet. But it's still snowing below that.
Right.
It's still windy and everything. We're in the sunshine. You're still getting sunshine off the snow, so it's not that bad. It's clearing up, but the route down is completely a whiteout.
Right, you have to go back through the storm that just made you stay there for 2 or 3 days.
But we are so fed up about being in that little hut for 3 days. We're like, F it. We're going, man. So, I mean, we all just roped up and just tore down through it like, get me the hell out of here. So we just ripped down to Paradise, knowing how big the crevasses were that we had circumvented on the way up.
Right.
Because we had to switch back.
But now you can't see them, right?
Can't see them at all. So you get your ice axe and you're poking it down like, don't break the ice, that game kind of. And you're just saying to yourself,
still being stuck, though.
I'm going to, you just felt like there was nothing you could do. All you wanted to do was go home.
Right.
Cold.
Go home or die.
This is not the right time to go summit. That's not a practical situation. You need to turn around and try to get down as safely as possible because sometimes getting down is more dangerous than getting up. Mm. So it's just like, and they told you that, right? Straight off the bat. Like, look, this might be the most difficult thing you do.
Yay!
It's going back down because you're kind of backloading from the other way up, but it's just like,
right.
Oh, God, no. But God, I was just like, get me off of this mountain.
But there's nothing you can do.
You can't do anything.
Right.
And then, at one point in time, I do get roped up with a buddy to go use the bathroom. And the door, these two wooden doors pop open on a window above us. And the ranger pops his head out, and he's got like a glass mug, and he's drinking something warm, like tea or coffee or some stuff. And he looks and he goes, "What in the hell are you doing here?" And that's when I knew. I was like, "Oh, there's somebody else up here." He's like, "Yeah, man, why are you guys here?" We're like,
"We're stupid."
Oh, that was a real bad idea, guys. Like, okay. So then he didn't even know we were there. So then he called down to Paradise and tell him.
I feel like that's on your guide service.
I believe you're correct.
I would agree.
Yeah,
100%.
like, what do you mean?
Green light.
Yeah,
what am I doing here?
What are you doing here? But apparently there's somebody up there most of the year. And they just trek food up in there and they stay at the bank just in case anything happens. But Jesus. Locked in, locked out, locked up, lost or trapped. 2 needed rescued. 206-421-ROCK.
What's up? It's your boy, The Fed Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
All right. Who out there has got a chance to try the men's room roasted red salsa from San Juan Salsa Company? Anybody? Hell yeah.
It's delicious.
We can tell you it is.
Dip responsibly.
It is some delicious stuff. And football's about to kick off tomorrow night.
Oh, my God, I know.
Watch some football over the weekend and Monday night style. Pick up some salsa. By the way, some of the locations, Country Farms in Burlington, Country Farms in Edmonds, Country Farms in Everett, all have the salsa. Some places have sold out. They are making the stuff as fast as they can. A lot of people tried it, a pain in the grass. Telling you, it is great stuff.
It is so good.
And a portion of that proceeds benefit our friends at the Fisher House. So, if you're going to get in some salsa over the weekend, try the men's room roasted red from San Juan Salsa Company.
Dip responsibly.
Our question: locked in, locked out, locked up, lost or trapped, 2 needed rescued. 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Shane. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So this was like maybe 18, 19 years ago down in Vegas. Bunch of us would always get together to go riding our dirt bikes just anywhere we could. Usually we just went like a field track we made kind of behind our house because everything's desert, so it was easy enough to build. But one weekend we decided to go up to the foothills of Mount Charleston. So we're riding around a trail out there. None of us know it. We're going at a decent speed. Apparently there was a ravine that like opened up or something we didn't know about. So most of the guys made it over. I hit the edge of it and flipped back down into the ravine.
How deep was it?
My bike crashed in. Ooh, it was probably at least like 50 feet down.
Damn.
Whoa. Yeah, it was not a fun fall.
Do you remember the act of falling?
Part of it.
Okay.
I remember like the initial fall. I remember like bouncing off of like a tree and the bike hitting me, and then I remember being under the bike at the bottom.
Jesus,
like
man.
The bike was physically on top of me. It was broken apart. I was partly impaled.
Where were you impaled?
So part of the fender broke off and was sticking out about not even an inch away from my junk.
Ooh, and that's a very major artery down there that could have ended things for you quickly.
And also your junk.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
If I'm going to lose my junk, I hope it hits the artery.
Right, that's
like,
right there.
Kill me.
Right. I just want to bleed out.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you down there before your buddies could get to you?
So it took them a minute to like realize what had happened because I was at the back of the pack.
Oh.
So it took them maybe like 5 minutes to get back to me and realize like where I was and what happened. And then it took another like 3 hours of being stuck down there with the bike on top of me until rescuers could get out to us because we were so far like into the foothills of the mountain and outside the city.
So do they show up by helicopter, road vehicle, or both?
I remember helicopter, but I'm sure it was both.
Okay.
Did you have to pay for that?
They airlifted me.
Oh God!
Oh yeah.
How cheap was that ride?
It was not cheap at all.
Now let me ask you a question: when you're taking a helicopter ride in an emergency situation, are you sitting up in a chair so you can at least look out the window and enjoy the ride, or do they got you like strapped to a gurney where you can't really see anything?
I couldn't see anything, and I was like in and out of it at the time too, just because of like 3 hours of blood loss.
All right, now, is this something they loaded you into the helicopter, or did they have to drop one of those, like, rope gurneys down?
I believe they dropped one of the rope gurneys.
All right.
Because of like the way the ravine was, like it was kind of hard to get down to me down there.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because like if you have to have a helicopter rescue, like you don't want to be rescued by a helicopter because that means you really, really effed up, as you well know. But if you do, I would hope they have to drop the thing down. Although, saying that, I do recall, was this like 2 years ago, this old like 78-year-old lady, I think it was roughly your situation, not dirt bike, but I think she'd fallen into a ravine, all right? So the helicopter finally shows up, and again, this is an old broad. They get her on the gurney, but for whatever reason, when they're lifting the gurney started rotating just like the propellers, not as fast, but real fast, like the propellers on top of the helicopter.
Yeah, it was just spinning her out of control.
And like, it almost made oh yeah, man. Yeah,
and so, and not understanding this, but I mean, just knowing anybody who has anything where the spins are horrible for you. Apparently, the blood in this instance, like it would, runs to your feet and runs to your head.
Right. Yes.
So there's a few days that have to go by for your blood just to kind of get out of those areas. I don't know what exactly that is.
It sounds like she incurred additional injuries just because that was happening. And there's nothing they could do to slow it down until they get her ass up to the helicopter.
God almighty. What about your bike? Now, did you have to pay to get the bike removed from the area?
Oh, we just left it there.
So do you think
it was totaled beyond repair?
Do you think that bike is still sitting there?
Quite possibly.
So if somebody walked by it, they would know, oh, God.
Right.
Somebody's probably dead, right? I would start looking for a body if I found that bike down there, wouldn't you?
But if it's been sitting in the bottom of a ravine, you could probably tell it's been there for a minute.
But what I've discovered about Vegas with Lake Mead drying up, still worth looking for a body.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if I find a bike at the bottom of a cliff, I'm just going to assume the worst. Like you didn't drive it down there.
But again, I think it just depends on the cleanliness of the bike.
You mean blood, all that kind of thing? Or
Well, I'm saying, I think you could tell if it's been sitting at the bottom of this ravine or if, like, why is there a bike here right now?
Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm. We were in, it's just a server. We took a picture of it. We had a layover in Dublin, right? So we're there for like 12 hours. So we're like, the hell with it. Let's leave the airport, take in as much of the city as we can see. So we get to downtown Dublin, and it's fine. It's quaint. It looks exactly the way you think an Irish city is going to look, right? And whatever the river is that runs through Dublin, I cannot remember the name of it, but it kind of splits the city in half. And there's a little footbridge you can walk over, and then you just go to the other half of the city. I'm walking with my buddy, and our wives are kind of walking in front of us, so we don't want to alarm them. But he taps my shoulder and just says, dude, what do you think happened there? And he points down, so it's right where the water kind of meets the rocks coming to the shore, and there's a wheelchair and about 2 feet of water tipped over sideways. And I mean, it could be anything. It could just be litter, whatever. But I mean, this is a highly populated area, man. So I'm like, I don't know. The way it was sitting, it honestly looked like someone may have been in there for a couple of minutes, and then they're just not there anymore, and they washed it out with the current. Yep. But we stared at this thing for like 5 minutes, finally took pictures. Like, it's effed up. I'm kind of chuckling, but let's just hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, the lake that
Liffey?
You brought up Lake
What's
Mead.
that?
Liffey.
Is that the river?
River Liffey.
Okay, maybe. Liffey.
I'm sure I'm saying it wrong.
I'm sure you are too.
Yeah.
But you might be saying it right. I don't know. I couldn't remember. But yeah, that river and just this wheelchair sitting in it. I'm like, something about this looks disturbing, man.
They had the lake that I grew up beside. At one point in time, it's a dam lake. They needed to dredge the lake, get a lot of the silt out of a couple certain areas, just so for water flow for the dam and everything else. I mean, the lake was just rising with sediment.
Sure.
So they decided to drain a lot of the dam. Well, at one point, they were going to build a bridge, and the only thing I can equate it to is like what happens at the kind of like at the Arboretum over on 520. So there's all those ghost ramps. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those in those areas.
Oh, yeah. By the universe. Right.
It's just like a ramp that just shoots off into the swamp, right? Well, it's kind of the same thing. But when they drained the lake, there was 7 cars down there.
Oh, jeez.
7 cars. Now, that area was deeper. You could just finally see them from where they were. And people were just like, oh, God. So they send down divers and stuff to see them. No bodies were in them. So they don't know if
anymore.
They don't know if people stole them and then, or just wanted to do a Dukes of Hazzard.
I'm sure that's half of it.
Got rid of a car for whatever reason, or who knows what the deal was, but it kind of freaked everybody out. And cars were like from the 50s, and then there was all kinds of different cars down there.
Right, right.
You know, whenever they built that old, and it could have been, I don't know the history of it. It might have been an old wooden bridge or metal bridge that fell down, and the only thing that was there were the 2 supports, the concrete supports on the side, because there were cars on both sides.
Oh, right.
And kids, when we were kids, we used to be able to jump off of those ramps into the water.
You're playing in corpse water.
So yeah, I mean that was a big time swimming area, and you realize like, oh my God, there's 7 cars down here. It was insane.
I'll tell you what, man. As far as bridges go, the worst story I've heard recently. I just felt bad for this dude. I don't remember what city it was. Miles, you and I were reading this story, and it's an older couple, and I mean like late 60s, early 70s. They're just having a romantic walk. That is all they're doing, and they're walking over a drawbridge. And then the gates go down, and the light starts flashing.
Oh God!
All right, and this is like a drawbridge like we'd have in Seattle. It's a big-ass drawbridge. So the lady somehow makes it to the other side. The husband doesn't, but this thing's slowly going up. So as they explain the story, he's holding on to the edge, the very top. But this thing, when it finally gets just completely vertical, I can't remember how long they said the span was like 40 to 50 feet maybe. And he's holding on, and they're telling him, hold on. But again, his old fingers, man, and all that kind of stuff. He ended up just sliding down. He didn't go into the water, but he smashed into the road below, essentially.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ooh, oh my God, man. It just, like, you need rescue, but the problem with a situation like that is anyone can be in need of rescue, but when time is of the essence, and in his case, it's like, you can be rescued as long as you hold on. So it's like one thing if you fall down a cliff and my foot gets stuck in a rock and, yeah, my ankle's broken. Right. I can't climb to the top. But, like, unless a wolf comes over here and starts mauling on me, like, I'm good to wait a couple hours. This dude, it's like, we can rescue you if you can hold on for a good 15 minutes.
And the conundrum is, the bridge is up.
Right.
So there is a boat coming through.
Right. So look, you can't just put it down.
Even if you see him up there, you can't just go and shut that because then that boat's going to go right into the bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the? I'd like to
think wait for the boat to go through.
Because he's a little bit older. Maybe he couldn't get down in time. Like, I don't know. Do you just tuck and roll down the ramp as it's going up?
See, what you're saying makes the most sense, but I don't know what my thought process would be either.
Right? Because it would be scary as hell. I'm just trying to figure. Like, I think at that point between life or death, I'd just like roll back down it and be like, the hell with it.
You would hope so, but yeah, I just don't know what my thought would be. But this dude, yeah, he made it all the way to the top, held on, and that was only like a month ago.
I was gonna say, I remember that. That's awful.
Yeah, I was like, God, man, I just want to go for a frickin' walk.
Locked in, locked out, locked up, lost or trapped. 2 needed rescued. 206-421-ROCK.
Every time you say it, I think you're gonna start a rap song.
What's that?
Locked in, locked up, locked out.
That is a good start, isn't it?
Right.
Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the men's room. Hello, Kelly.
Kelly.
Doesn't sound like Kelly's there at all.
Now.
Hello, Chris. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
You guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Good. Single malt and hookers.
Sure.
That's what I got to say about that. So many of your stories really hit home, especially Miles, you being stuck up on the side of the mountain. Oh my goodness.
That sucked.
So I spent better part of 16 years working at Crystal Mountain, the ski resort up there, and living in Greenwater. And I think it was in 08, 09, I think it was that winter. A couple of my buddies, they take off on a snowmobile trip. And they're just going out for the evening, and it is blizzard conditions. And, you always tell somebody where you're going and when you're supposed to be back. Well, we're all sitting around the campfire. Actually, we were in the garage because it was blizzard conditions outside. And, 8 o'clock comes, 9 o'clock comes, and it's like, those guys should be back by now. And we got together a posse and went out on some sleds, and it's a good thing we knew where they were going, because when we found them, they had 2 broken down sleds, and they were hunkered down in a space blanket ready to die from exposure.
I would build an ice cave.
How bad were they when you got there?
They were on the edge of hypothermia.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Like they were ready to die, and we got them out of there. We left the sleds there. We went back and got them later. Now, when I say sleds, I'm not talking about like your sleds that you put the kids on. We're talking about snowmobiles, right?
We do understand that. Otherwise, we'd think you're very, very stupid. Grab the sleds.
We're going to go sled riding. Come on. It's a snow day. No school. What was wrong with the snowmobiles? Did they run out of gas?
No, they just weren't in good repair and broke down.
Okay, I would think
They
that
had
would be
plenty of
important.
Fuel.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you want. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I mean, especially with something like that. Rarely, it's not like you're riding your snowmobile on average through the middle of town. You're probably in the outskirts of somewhere, right?
How hard was it to keep them on your whatever Black Cat without them falling off the back? They're in that bad of shape.
Well, no, we were on other snowmobiles. So I think we went out with 3 or 4 other snowmobiles with single riders. And so you got plenty of room for a passenger on the back.
Yeah, but somebody who's in that, what I'm saying, someone in that state of mind, can they sit on the snowmobile and physically make it back?
Well, we did. We got her done.
Okay. Yep.
But you're right. You know, if they were too far gone, then you'd have to,
take a sled.
What. They were starting to peel their clothes off.
Yeah, that's the weird side effect.
Do. Well, it's not just a side effect, but if you're trying to keep your buddy warm, you're supposed to take off layers and huddle inside of your emergency blanket. And, it was just a good thing that everybody got rescued. With all the years that I spent up in the mountains and stuff, I can tell you of at least a couple guys who didn't make it out.
Was it generally the same scenario?
Well, no. One of them was in a tree well.
Oh, man. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't find him until the next spring when the snow was melting off.
Yeah. Were they snowmobiling like out in the woods, or were they just out on the road?
Oh, no, absolutely out in the woods.
All right.
Ted, 100%. That's like way up. They're like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 feet elevation with, like a foot an hour snow.
Yeah, trust me. Some of the craziest weather I've ever seen is on Crystal Mountain.
I can believe that. When you get a foot of snow in an hour, where were you when you almost went off the cliff in a snowmobile? Was it the same general area?
No, I was opposite. I was out in Lake Chelan.
All right.
But when you go snowmobiling, like you're already on like the kind of upper part of the lake.
Yeah.
And then you go into those woods. So then you're going up and down, like you're on the side of mountains. Like that was beyond.
Also, were you aware that you're on the side of a mountain before you almost went over the edge? See, that's what makes it much more terrifying is that you're going through the woods. So in your mind, you're just in the woods. Then your thing veers off and you realize like, oh my God, that's a cliff.
Yeah.
Then you stop like right at the edge or fall off or how did
it was hanging off the edge of a mountain. And then also like the trail we were on, you get back at one point and there's actually like a porta potty, right? So they're like, hey, when you get a couple miles deep, you can go in there and use that porta potty. I have been cold before, but stopping, like we took our gloves off to go pee, and I was like, oh, no. Yeah. Like I'd rather pee in my pants than to have anything. It was so cold up there at that like elevation, and you're just in the shade.
That's what I was going to say. Lake Chelan is high. I mean, if you look down on the Columbia River to the east of there, you realize how high up the lake is, and then there's mountains that are, over on top of it.
Right, so we started already high up in Lake Chelan, went up in those mountains, went down. So that was the thing. I was so scared coming back.
Right.
That, like, I'm just going to take it nice and slow. But there was a couple places where, like, not the guy we knew, one of his friends was like, look, I know. He's like, I can see you shaking. But he's like, you've got to gun it.
Because you're not going to slide.
Right, you're not going to make it up this hill, and you're going to slide back down. He goes, I can't help you if it falls on you.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Locked in, locked out, locked up, lost or trapped. Who needed rescue? 206-421-ROCK.
99.9 KISW. The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill.
Living on your own certainly has its benefits, especially for people who enjoy their privacy, but also has some downsides, as one woman recently discovered. The Bangkok-based lady, whose name has not been revealed by Thai News, went into her home bathroom on August 22nd, not knowing that she would spend the next 3 days stuck in there. As soon as she closed the door, a faulty doorknob turned the restroom into a prison for the woman. Would not even bother to take her phone with her, not to mention food or drinks. Well, she resorted to banging on the door and screaming for help, but no one came to her rescue. Despite her efforts to get the attention of her neighbors or even strangers, no one heard her loud banging and cries for help. So she had to survive on tap water alone. Exhausted after 2 days of trying to catch anyone's attention, the 54-year-old reportedly wrote a farewell message on the bathroom wall. using skincare products and decided to await her demise. Luckily for the woman, her sister, who had not heard from her in days, started to worry about her and notified the police about her disappearance. Then a squad was dispatched to check on the woman, and after getting no response at the gate, they decided to jump over the iron gate and check the home. They broke into the woman's home with some pliers, kicked the door down, and then the bathroom door. Police found the woman very weak, unsurprisingly, considering she hadn't eaten in 3 days. They rushed her to the nearest hospital. They then took pictures of the message smeared on the bathroom wall, which read, "I've been stuck in the toilet since August 22nd. If I die, please let Jay take care of my will. Please give Tuck's property to Tuatum. I drank tap water to survive. Without water, I would be dead. I tried to pry and smash my way out. I tried to shout, but no one heard me." Doctors tested the 50-year-old woman, found that despite her weakness state, she was in generally good health and is expected to make a full recovery. We got an email from Elizabeth, and hopefully I'll get to that before we get into Who Sucks Less, but it reminded me of something. In the old building that we used to work in, they had one of the most cockamamie elevator systems in the world.
Oh, all right? Stupid, yeah.
And we were one of, I believe, only 2 buildings that were the first to get this system.
It might be the only, because they had said... Yeah. I guess other companies contacted the first company that installed it in their building. They were like, don't do it. It's dumb.
So what happens is you walk up to a kiosk and you press a button outside of the elevator, and then that kiosk will indicate which elevator you're going to use. Not that this is important in the story, but as far as the elevator system, it would just know it was kind of a pioneering thing for them as far as what they were concerned.
Pioneering and stupid.
Stupid. It was stupid, but this was like this was going to work. But they were wrong. Anyway. So
in theory,
it makes sense.
Right, it should put people closer. It should divvy up the elevator.
Correct.
It rarely did.
Correct. They just could not program it in the way that seemed to work out for the best of the building.
Right.
Either way, I do remember one weekend, someone was trapped in the elevator.
Oh, that's right.
And unlike this building, where there's always a front desk person, all times. And if you press that emergency, even if you accidentally hit the button, I've been in the elevator here before where someone hits the button accidentally, and they are, boom, on that speaker in 2 seconds. You go, okay, is everything all right in elevator A or whatever the deal is? There was no one there. And I cannot remember I want to say it was 4 hours.
It was a long time. And again, remember, this is the weekend. They came in to do weekend work, which means they did not want to be there, but there's something they had to get done, so they took time on their time off to go back downtown, go in this building, and now you're stuck in an elevator with no one there to help.
One fortunate aspect of this elevator is that the way that the elevator shaft worked, all the elevators were seemingly in one general area. Instead of them being individual shafts, it was one big one, but their elevators are beside each other. People would tell us all the time, I can hear Thrill coming up the elevator 4 floors away. So what ended up happening was, apparently, the person who was stuck in there heard the elevator coming up or down and started screaming. And someone heard them like, help, help, help. And someone who was coming down or up heard the cries for help in the elevator. And, was like, oh, my God, did I just hear somebody like in the elevator? And they walked down the steps and kept going as far as they could go down the steps and going into the elevator area.
Figure out what floor they're on.
Right. Because you could get into those in the general bathroom areas on those floors. You could not get into the individual suites. But you could go down the emergency, the stairwell and still have access to the floors. Just you couldn't get in past the main lobby. So someone walked down and figured out where they were, called for help, and then but this is like, it was like
hours.
Whenever I heard the story, I was just like, this sounds like the worst possible scenario ever. I just could not believe.
Well, elevators you're not prepared for. Imagine if every time you got in an elevator, you had to check if you had a snack and water.
Right.
You wouldn't get in elevators.
I got stuck in an elevator once for an hour and a half. It was my own fault. It's a very, very gorgeous chick that I really, really, have some special time to. Well, she agreed to go out with me. I'd meet her at her place. We're going to go out and grab a drink. So she had not quite a freight elevator, but it's an older building. So maybe it was freight back in the day. Whatever. It's only 3 or 4 floors. But as soon as elevator doors close, she makes mention that, God, I'm claustrophobic and I hate elevators. Which, of course, inspires me to immediately start jumping up and down. And she's like, stop. Well, as a result of me doing that, like at emergency brakes, and we were between the 2nd and 3rd floor. Well, this is pre-cell phone, man. Right? So, there's just nothing you could do. There's no security in the building, so the emergency button, I don't even know why it was there. It didn't contact anyone. The fire department eventually got us out after an hour and a half, but the thing that tipped it off was that someone else who lived in the building was just trying to get up to their floor. Couldn't do it. They realized the elevator was stuck. They didn't know we were in there. They just called because the elevator was stuck. The fire department shows up, and sure enough, here we are. By the way, the date did not happen, and she never spoke to me again.
Oh. Yeah, she was pissed.
But it's just the two of you. You were at fault, and you're in a space that's maybe 4 by 5, man. Like, it's just awkward, and there's nowhere you can go. There's nothing you can do.
I gotta be honest with you.
You can't distract yourself. She's just pissed.
Whenever I get into one of those really, really old elevators, that you can just tell, man. And this thing, I mean, this building is old. This elevator is old. The Smith Tower's got one where there's like a grate that goes across. And you can actually look out when you're going up and see all the different floors and all that stuff. I feel safer. Those elevators have been there since the building was was put in. For whatever reason, that brings me great comfort that this thing is still, because I know the mechanics of it are going to be simpler. It obviously
they don't overthink.
Yeah, obviously it works. It's just for whatever reason, I'm like, okay, old elevator, I feel better about it.
Sure,
I don't know why. It's got a smell to it, but still.
When I went over to Scotland, one thing that we discovered very, very quickly is any people moving mechanism, escalators, elevators, moving sidewalks, when it came to that area of Scotland, they sucked. I don't know what kind of low rent thing that they used to make it, but they were absolute garbage. And so I quit taking the elevators when we were coming down our hotel rooms or wherever we were going.
What floor were you?
We traveled all over the place. We were in a handful of different hotels, right? So this one particular day, I was racing the elevator down. My dad was in the elevator, and I raced him down. And after a while, I just kind of waited down there, and then he didn't show up. My dad had gotten stuck in the elevator on the way down. Now, my dad is a claustrophobic guy, and same thing. No. The elevators over there, much like a lot of what happens over in Europe, it's a lot smaller.
Absolutely.
So it's even more compact over there. The only saving grace of him getting stuck in that elevator, he was only stuck in there for maybe 5 minutes, was there was just the smallest of little windows in there, and he had just come into view to where I could see that the elevator stopped just shy of opening up. That brought him the only amount of comfort that he felt at all in that situation, because then I'm going out and finding out somebody that might be able to open it up. And even then, they didn't have anything. Right. I found the guy, and he came over, and he just said, well, I wonder what I can do. And then luckily, it just fired back up and opened back up.
But isn't that inevitably what it's going to have to be? Either you have to call the elevator technician or call the fire department, right?
Right.
So if our elevator gets stuck here, we can alert them that, hey, man, we're stuck in the elevator, but no one physically in this building is equipped to do anything about it.
Right. And so my dad was not going to wait for the elevator for the technician. He was just going to pry himself out.
I might as well just call 911 and say I need the fire department. I'll let the building know in a minute, but they can't help me, so there's no point to reach out to you.
I've definitely seen the fire department in my building just to help people out of the elevator.
Yeah.
I live on
on the ground floor,
right? So it don't bother me. But it is just weird. You hear all this noise, and then I just open my door. I'm like, what are you guys doing out here?
There's no fire.
Right, they're like, somebody's stuck in there.
Like,
right. And then I just shut my door and go back to watching sports.
Locked in, locked out, locked up, or lost or trapped? Who needed rescued? 206-421-ROCK.
Here's a scary text. Says I drove off of a cliff, fell asleep at the wheel, ended up 200 feet away from my truck, upside down in a tree. Took them 4 hours to find me. I almost bled out. Wow, that is...
No thank you.
Good time.
No thank you.
Hello, Gabriel. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So I bought a sailboat because back in 2020 when they said social distancing, and I was like trying to figure out how the hell can I stay away from a bunch of people, be safe. So I bought a boat. And the person I bought a boat from, it was his dad's boat. He passed away the 2nd of March. COVID hit 13th of March. He wanted to have a memorial for his pops up at Hope Island by La Conner. And I promised I'd bring the boat up for it. So we headed up July 1st, and we're going up through Skagit Harbor. And I didn't read the charts. I didn't have my depth finder. He had it. He took the depth finder off of it for safekeeping, I guess, and had it on his boat and just never got it back to me. His outboard went dead, or he had to put gas in it. He killed it for some odd reason. And we couldn't get it running again, and we had both drifted into shallow waters by Goat Island. I don't know if you guys are familiar with sailboats at all, but I had a 6-foot, 7-foot keel hanging below my boat, and I got to watch the fore of my boat raise 3 inches to 4 inches as it pogoed up and down from the waves. for about 9 hours. The Coast Guard telling me they cannot help me at all.
So would you have to wait for the tide?
I had to wait for the tide, and then a friend of theirs who came to get us, or to help us, hooked up to his boat. Should have hooked to mine first since I had the long keel and he had a full keel. We didn't know that there was a jetty coming off of Goat Island. And so when the tide came back in and he was able to hook up to him, they started going towards the jetty. They get caught up on top of the jetty.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm tailing right behind them. They say, don't go this way, don't go this way. And I'm thinking maybe, a net or something underneath them or some rocks or whatever. So I go left of them. I ping pong off this damn jetty, turn around, and this is hours later after calling Coast Guard a couple dozen times and then basically saying, hey, if you're taking our water, we're going to send a helicopter to me. The $28,000 fine if your boat hits the bottom of the bay. Yeah. So I wrote it out and pretty much lived on adrenaline for about 9 hours. They ended up Boat Tow USA, great company up in that area, came and got him off the jetty, came to get me, hooked up to me, started going towards the around the jetty, and then the Coast Guard came and grabbed a hold of me on the other side and took me to the LaConner Public Marina and hooked me to the dock because I was taking on water, which I hooked up my battery and had my
right. How much did this cost you?
I'm pretty sure I developed a few gray hairs and the loss of a boat. It didn't cost me anything. Actually, the Coast Guard did a safety check. You got to have a crapper, you got to have life jackets, you got to have flares and a radio. And my crapper was on my outboard because I had used it and didn't want to smell it, so I left it on my skiff, which during the whole turmoil of getting ready to go and getting moving and everything, the line, our boats became disconnected because I was just, I married up to my buddy's boat and I was just going to tow him out of there because I have the bigger engine. He apparently doesn't know how to tie a cleat, and I know he's going to give me a rash in the crap for saying this, but he doesn't know how to tie a cleat very well, and the front of our boats came undone. And my boat was already in motion, so I'm panicking about that. He's worried about a pain on his boat. I'm worried about my, belongings and just getting the hell away from where we had just been stuck at. My outboard or my skiff's line hit my prop, and it went away as fast as possible. Floated away. So I lost my life jackets. I lost my trapper, and I didn't get dinged for it, but it cost me quite a bit in fees because I ended up selling the boat. This is July 1st, 2020. I ended up selling the boat on the 6th to someone on OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace or something. And that guy, I told him it needed to go on land, it needed to get patched, it needed to get fixed. He instead went and bought a bunch of booze, a bunch of unmentionable smoking materials and stuff, and went out into the bay and had to call in Tomato Island Search and Rescue to come save him because his boat was taken on water, which...
You told him.
Multiple times.
Right.
He told me he was going to put it up on the hard and he was going to fix it. So I was like, cool. So I get a call, hey, your boat's here in our marina up in Whidbey Island at, what's the town of Whidbey, or on Whidbey, it's like the main town on Whidbey Island.
Oak Harbor?
Friday Harbor?
No, that's Orcas.
Oh.
Friday Harbor's a whole island.
Anacortes.
No, it's Whidbey Island. Anyways, I go there. I think this guy's not answering my calls. He's not answering their calls. He's not answering nobody's calls. And I was like, all right, so he abandoned the boat. So I stripped the boat down and took everything off of it. It's like, well, I'm going to have to come back and get this, or it's going to get put up on the hard, and they're going to disassemble it, and I'm going to have to pay, a very exaggerated, inflated cost of using a Sawzall and cutting a boat apart, which they were telling me is like $1,000 in labor plus like $800 just to get it up on the dry.
Of course.
Well, boats they say they're pretty cheap to operate and own.
Oh yeah,
it's one thing you always hear about somebody.
What's it? The two greatest days of a boat owner is getting your boat and selling your boat.
Yeah. That's what the sign says above the toilet half the time when I go to somebody's house who has a boat.
The fact that all boat owners say that, I'm like, I believe you. I've never met a boat owner who says anything different. My buddy Bob, and he keeps buying boats, where he's like, man, I love when you buy a new boat. And then a couple years later, I really love selling that goddamn thing.
I think if you have like a little fishing boat,
that's one thing.
Yeah, with an outboard on it. And surely that's still going to cost you money.
Right.
But I think it limits the amount of damage you can do as far as dock fees.
Of course.
General maintenance, those types of things. I think that's a little bit more practical.
It's like the scooter of the boat world.
Correct. It's not going to be as expensive. It's still going to be expensive. So it's not going to be the worst.
Yeah, and you're right. If it's like a pleasure boat or a sailboat, those seem to get changed. But for whatever reason, people that have a fishing boat, like you'll keep that fishing boat forever.
Yeah, it's all sinks, right?
And there's also a couple areas in the city where if you go and you get your captain's license, whether it's a sailboat or motorboat or whatever, they have places where you rent the boats for the day. So you kind of like join like a club.
Yeah.
And then you can just go out and your hands free.
Right.
You just go pay for the gas, pay for your time, whatever that is, and bring it back in, and it's their problem, which I think is probably the easiest way to go. Locked in, locked out, locked up, lost or trapped. Who needed rescue? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Brandon. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Well, I got lost inside a public restroom one day.
Sorry, man.
I was working for a corporate team building company. We're doing like a corporate team building event, so we're taking advantage of the local state park where we were. And it's just, big flat yard with a few trees around, and they had a restroom out there. It's like 4 brick walls and a metal door. And I was the first person to go in there that day, and I shut the door behind me, and I heard a piece of metal fall inside the door. And I didn't think anything of it until after I was done doing my business, and I went to leave, and that door would not open. The handle wouldn't turn, nothing. I couldn't do anything.
And how bad does this bathroom smell at a state park, man?
Oh, it's rank, my friend, and it's like 95 degrees outside, and it's a brick building full of human excrement. So it was not pleasant. So my buddy is still trying to run the team building event, and so a couple of people from the event are like, well, where's our facilitator guy? And they come over and they're like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, he's stuck in the bathroom. And so we had to change the premise of our team building event to just get me out of the bathroom.
Yes, that would be my primary thing. How long did it take for them to get your ass out of there?
It was about 30 minutes. Somebody went back to their vehicle and got a hacksaw, and we we slid it in between the door, and we sawed off using the hacksaw blade the little thing that was stuck in the door jamb, and then we kicked the door the rest of the way open, and then we couldn't get a hold of any parks department guys. There was like no one out there to help.
Did you feel like your clothes absorbed the stink of that bathroom?
I don't remember that so much as I remember that breathing really was terrible.
Yeah, dude. I think,
I got to I was staying in the Grand Ole Opry Hotel at one point in time. There's a Jack Daniels bar. I got hammered, right? Well, when I checked in the hotel room, I think I just dropped my bag. I was going to be with my buddy at the bar because we saw the bar downstairs, whatever the deal was. I grabbed the key, put it in my wallet. I did not bring the sleeve. I knew it was down a corridor, but there was like 4 or 5 corridors.
So you don't know what room you're in?
I have no idea. Not only that, the Grand Ole Opry Hotel, I could not.
Have you seen the Grand Ole Opry?
I've only looked it up because of this story.
Large, to put it mildly.
And there is one main entrance where the front desk is. Any other corridor. And I knew it was on a different floor because we were kind of sunken down in. I mean, I must have walked for 45 minutes an hour. And I was asking people, like, which way? And they're like, oh, just follow the signs. I follow the sign. And then I get there, I'm like, this is not it. I recognize this place. I think when I came out, the bar was down here. I must have got to bed, it was already late, 12:30, 1 o'clock. I'm pretty sure it was 3 by the time I finally found someone to tell me what room I was in.
And that thing takes up like city blocks.
Yes.
Dude, it was a massive, massive place.
I couldn't believe there's a forest inside.
There's a mall inside.
It was just insane. I mean, I just remember getting to my hotel room going, damn it.
Remember this number.
Damn it. Locked in, locked out, locked up, lost or trapped. Who needed a rescues? Who sucks less? Coming up, you're listening to The Men's Room.
What's up? It's your boy, The Fed Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
The debauchery rolls on. You're listening to The Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
All right, check out the return of Who Sucks Less, but first time for a few emails from the men's room at KISW.com.
You've got mail. You've got mail.
And a couple from our question: locked in, locked out, locked up, lost, or trapped. Who needed rescued? Guys, several years ago, we took a family trip to Boise. While visiting the old Idaho State Penitentiary, went into one of the cells since they were open. I thought it would be funny to close the cell door, thinking they probably had disabled the locks, and pretend we were locked in. But click, had to call the gift shop to get someone to get us out. Turns out that row of cells, they weren't even supposed to be open. Great seeing you guys at Pain in the Grass on Sunday. That from Chris in Kent. Well, guys, my best friend, he got trapped in the elevator of my apartment building. After she left my apartment pretty late, I got a phone call that she was stuck and did not know what to do. She pushed the emergency button in the elevator, but it took over 2 hours and a lot of phone tag with me and the apartment maintenance to get her out of there. They had to call the elevator company and the building maintenance to get her out. I stayed by the elevator so she didn't feel bored or lonely, but she was getting more and more anxious to get out of there. In the end, she was pissed, not at me, but at how lax the elevator and building guys were that got her out. And every time she comes over, she uses the stairs. Thanks, guys, for the laughs. That from Elizabeth. As we move on to the birthday shout-outs, guys, I'd love a birthday shout-out to my youngest kid, Caleb, who's 21 years old today. I'd love him to get some green beans. And what the F is that, bro? And Mickey and Goofy talking about Pooh Bear. Please, you only turn 21 once. That from Mom.
Green beans.
Oh, my God! What the f*** is that, bro?
Green beans. Green beans.
Hashtag good advice.
Green.
Well, gosh, we used to talk smack and old Winnie the Pooh all the time. Try to steal Donald's look, no pants, but only top. But then earlier this week, we saw a trailer for a little thing called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And now we don't talk smack about him anymore. He'll kill you.
Also, you gotta remember, Pooh Bear now works in my park. So while I used to not like him, now that he's part of the Disney family, I love Pooh Bear, Eeyore, all of them. Because you know what they do? They cash checks.
Is he part of Disney now?
Oh yeah, you could see Pooh Bear if you're at the
I did not know that.
at the MGM Studios. Pooh Bear. Last time I was down there, he has his own little what are the silver trailers you tow? Like a Streamline?
Airstream, Gulfstream, Airstream, something.
Yeah, so I think it's Pooh Bear and Piglet are out there a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe Rabbit. But yeah, I honestly, put the headphones on the kids. I think Pooh Bear just goes in there sometimes and pops his head off and just is like...
Oh yeah.
Because, I mean, if you go down that one section where they used to be, I mean, they are out there like all day.
Pooh Bear's not who I'd want to be.
You know what, honestly, I didn't think kids even watch Pooh Bear anymore. And then when I was in Montana, I got up one morning and my buddy's kid was watching Pooh Bear. And I was like,
really?
No kidding.
I'm going to ask my kids today. I mean, they're 12 and 10. Not do you still watch them? Are you familiar with Winnie the Pooh? And if you are, what do you know about him? Because in my experience with them, we never dealt with the Pooh.
Yeah, I was shocked to see it on.
Guys, please wish my wife Andy a special birthday and have the dirty Germans tell her what they would do to a green-eyed Irish girl. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, the thing I like most about green-eyed Irish girls is concentrating on the one brown eye.
Yeah, see, Sam says the way. I like the green eyes because green means go. Now she has goggles. It's hard to see out of the eye now, huh?
Green means go.
Yeah, it's in Germany. If you have green eyes, it's go.
Yeah, you have no safe words.
All this men's room. I want to wish a happy birthday to my great friend Mike Abrams, pronounced Big Dog. He's 38 today. Can we get a your penis is too small? And Coach Ted coaching him up on how to hang windows from a scissor lift in 90-degree heat. From his best good friend, All Balls Kruger.
Hanging windows, 90-degree heat. Well, Coach's advice would be don't. Sounds miserable. Other than that, I would say bring some water, get one of those fancy little towels that keeps you cold. Throw, what were you saying? What should he do on this scissor lift?
Hire someone.
Oh, hire someone. See, I said don't, or you could hire someone. Either way, be careful and try not to get sunburned.
Would you watch a porn called Scissor Lift?
Yes.
Yeah. Might be coming up with Dirty Big Dummy tomorrow.
I mean, if you say scissors, scissoring, there's only one thing that goes through my mind.
Right.
Update. Yeah. My nephew, G-Man, watches Pooh Bear.
Oh, yeah? All right,
yes,
cool.
Okay.
See, maybe it's the whole thing, right, because Bodie's only like 2.5.
Maybe
he was
that's
watching
the age. I really tried to avoid the crap they were watching to that age, man.
All of my amazing entertainers, today is my birthday. I can't think of anything else I'd rather have than to cut that bitch off. Next caller, and a side of the captain telling me some sweet nothings because I think he probably likes curvy blondes. Thanks, guys. That from Andy Mack.
Cut that bitch off. Next caller.
Get! Different Andy Mack. Get!
All right. I was like, wait a minute. I know Andy Mack. He's not a curvy blonde.
Wish he was, though.
I wish he was, too.
Oh, hey there. Well, you came to the captain. You want to know about curvy blondes. Well, it should be pointed out the captain, he's down with about anything. But you know who is into curvy blondes? Pillsbury Doughboy. If he asks you to show his donuts, just ignore him. Or his chocolate-covered donut hole. That's even worse. And be careful with him. Apparently he's an animal in the sack, but based on what he's made of, he will give you a yeast infection. Crunch berries.
Did you just call me the doughboy?
I sure did. He's grown a full mustache and beard now. It's like, he's all grown up and looking a little different.
Oh, gracious. Mm-hmm. You said a little Facebook hunting. That's the same one. That's not, yeah, all right. I don't know.
Hello. I don't know. Hello. No, the captain wants in. The captain has decided to ignore the Pillsbury Doughboy. The captain...
Don't do that to Doughboy.
He wants all of that.
All of y'all has been tuning into this chaotic audio since I moved here 8 years ago. It's my 50th birthday. This may be a tall order, but I'd love to have it. Your penis is too small. A time to take off the leash, all in a bed of green beans. Stay drippy, bitches. That from Sam I Am.
Green beans. Green beans.
It's time to take off the leash.
By the way, the new men's room green bean t-shirt available now in the Rock Shop at KISW.com.
It's not even new anymore.
No, but it's 1 year you're allowed to say new.
Is yours still new?
Mine is so new. Not even out of the package.
It's fresh. That's
or
how
in
fresh
my
it
possession.
is.
All the bitches, liquor, and whores, I'd like to wish one of my best friends, Tony, a very happy 60th. Can I get the dirty Germans to talk about how to use his barbecue Zootang sauce with his lovely wife, Jane? Thanks, guys. You rock. That from Dave.
Yeah, we don't need the grill. I will spray my Zootang sauce right over your wife.
Yeah, I come packing my own package of Zootang sauce.
Yeah, I even scream Zootang. That's the big moment.
So I would suggest you smoke something. So that way she can... So that way, when you're done distributing the sauce, you have something to eat.
Yeah, why is it called Zootang? That makes me think of a female creature at the local zoo.
You know, just...
Let me get some of that Zootang.
It's regular American, Ted, not German. I never thought about using barbecue sauce in the bedroom.
Yeah, why don't you call yourself part of the Zootang clan?
All of y'all, this is Oakland Dave. Today honors my 62nd trip around the sun. Can I get some thrill shotgun gets and some help from Coach Ted on giving me ideas on how to have a good time tonight? I love you guys. That from Oakland Dave. Also Dave from Everett, Cold Stone Ted.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Get!
All right. I mean, honestly, Dave, for what I know about you, I'd suggest two things. Number one, usually when you call us, sounds like you're having a beer. Tonight, have a few. It's your birthday. Number two, maybe watch some old Raiders stuff. Relive the days when they were in Oakland like you were, putting it down for Oaktown. Maybe some Hammer. Maybe some E40. I mean, just go deep on it. You won't be from Oakland, you be from Oakland.
Oh, guys, my dad, Chris, is turning 64 years old
He's
today.
newer, but you know what I'm saying.
He's always been the best dad and now best friend anyone can ask for. He's never fallen short in his parental duties and even introduced me to your show. Was hoping that Mr. Mickey and Goofy could tell him all about what goes on after hours in the tunnels under the Magic Kingdom. He doesn't believe me because one of the dwarves confiscated my phone with the pictures. Lots of love. That from Connor.
Well, gals, it's funny you should ask. First of all, because Cinderella skirted the Magic Kingdom, so you can guess what the tunnel is. And guess what we do? We go spelunkying.
Yeah, part of the greatest part about living and operating all those tunnels is that you'll find out while Snow White has white on her. It's not a drug reference.
All right, guys, here we go. Oh, come on now.
Oh, this new computer's working out.
Jesus Christ.
Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you, to you, to you. BG.
Ya's a Dirty Germans, brought to you by Men's Room Original Sausage. Available through Uli's World Famous Sausage, mensroomlive.com, and other fine retailers. Schweinefleisch.
Now, the men's room wants to know, who sucks less?
Yay! Time for Who Sucks Last. Student Thrill Who. You bring us 3 stories from the news each and every week. They all suck, but it's us judges to determine out of the 3 stories which one sucks the least. Now, if you happen to follow KISW on Twitter, the debate is already underway on Who Sucks Less.
Yes, indeed. And like I said, at a certain level, all of them, the uniting factor in all 3 stories, a bit of entitlement. Let's start with what they call an influencer. A holiday maker has divided opinion after she bragged about skipping the long airport lines by pretending she had a broken foot. 32-year-old Charlotte Reese, she was traveling to Majorca with her fiance Paul at the Manchester airport. So to avoid the lines, she wore a protective boot so she wouldn't have to stand in the long lines, and then dumped the boot in the bathroom. She says, quote, "I just couldn't stand the thought of having to stand in the lines. I was very surprised it worked. I did feel bad for the other people waiting, but if they thought smart, they could have just jumped in line too." Well, she posted a video of how she did it on TikTok saying, quote, "How to get to the airport security in 5 minutes from start to finish when there's a 3-hour line." Well, the 20-second video, it also shows her posing with her husband-to-be, Paul, in the car park with the medical boot on her right foot. Well, the couple quickly gets themselves to the departure lounge, and she takes off the boot and leaves it by the trash can in the ladies' bathroom. She then filmed herself walking unaided in her white flip-flops as she headed to Holiday to celebrate her birthday. But fellow holiday makers blasted her for the con, branding it disgusting. One person said, "Damn right, disgusting." This is in England. That's why they say that. Someone else says, "Do you think it's fair that people that are actually disabled and have to live with the condition every day and day out? Whilst you get to pick and choose when to abuse this facility, you have no genuine reason." Well, all passengers with disabilities, they can skip the lines at security. They can also use the fast track lanes as long as they want to pay for an extra fee. But people are mad at her because she faked it, got through the line, then kicked off the boot in the bathroom, and went on her way. Now we're going to talk about an 18-year-old who she's been charged with child neglect after she left a 4-year-old child in her care at home alone. Elizabeth Leon, she was hired to watch a child back on Friday, August 5th from 1:45 p.m. until midnight. Obviously, that's a long time, but that's what she agreed to. But she left the child alone for more than 2 hours. Now, the mother texted Leon at about 11:15 to say she was on her way home and would, in fact, be home by the agreed-upon time of midnight. The defendant responded back that, in that case, she was heading out because her mother had paid for an Uber to take her home and it arrived ahead of time. But then the woman, she checked her Ring camera, and that showed that Leon had actually left her house at 9:45, 2 hours before she even placed the call to let her know she was on the way. When the mother confronted the babysitter about the video via text, Leon admitted to leaving early. She was sorry for lying to her, and she would only require $141 instead of the $168 that they had agreed upon. Leon then texted if she didn't feel that she should be paid for the services because she left early, that would be okay too. Well, on Wednesday, the 17th, an investigator contacted Leon and informed her that they'd been assigned to follow up on the case. She was asked to meet the investigator the next day. Well, shortly after that, the investigator received a call from an attorney representing Leon. Arrangements were made with the investigator and the attorney for Leon's surrender to police the following Monday. She arrived and told police she would not be making any statements. She was arrested and taken to jail. A correctional facility, if you will. She left the kid for 4 hours, but even lied to the mom when the mom called. And now, as the story goes, the terrifying video shows a woman blindfolded, blood dripping from her mouth. Standing behind her, a man holds a knife to the captive's throat. Quote, "Mommy, they've kidnapped me, Mommy, and I don't know why." That was the sobbing young woman in the frame. Quote, "You can't say anything to the police. If you do, they'll kill me." But the supposed victim's life was never actually in danger. In fact, she faked the whole thing. The 30-year-old woman, and 4 others were arrested on the Spanish island of Tenerife over a plot to extort a ransom payment out of the arrested woman's mother. Now, the plot involved using fake blood to bolster the con's realism, with the victim, quote-unquote, telling her mother in the video that her captors had beaten her. She added in the clip that she'd been deprived of food, wouldn't be released until the gang that kidnapped her received $50,000 ransom. When her mother received the clip, she withdrew the cash to pay the ransom. And incredibly, investigators would later discover that the mother had already made similar payments totaling $45,000 on 3 previous occasions when she'd received letters threatening the life of her daughter. This is the 4th time. Wow. The daughter pulled her off. Well, local authorities started investigating, and they started investigating the partner of the daughter. And they found out that his family was also involved in the kidnapping plot. And although the case was initially treated as a real kidnapping, officers quickly found that the supposed victim, she was fine, free to come and go. In fact, by the time they tracked her and her partner down, they were partying at a casino. Well, they now face all the appropriate charges and face anywhere from 1 to 5 years.
Okay. All right. Well, the 18-year-old babysitter in Florida, she left her job at 9.
She left at 9:45.
9:45.
The mom called at 11:15, said I'm on the way. The babysitter indicated, okay, I'm still here, but my Uber's arrived early, so I'm just going to hop in and go. Mm-hmm. She'd already left.
Yeah, she already told her it was going to be later than that.
Right.
But she took off. That's not good. The woman who faked her kidnapping, I feel bad for her mother. This is the 4th time, so obviously this has worked 3 times before.
Right.
I realize this was in Brazil, but still.
Still, man.
Not cool, because your mother obviously heartstrings and all that, but you're also fleecing her of the money that she saved. Ted, based on all this, I'm going to go with the woman that managed to skip the long lines at the airport by pretending to have a broken foot sucks the least.
See, I'm going the complete opposite. I think the kidnapping woman sucks the most. I can't believe she's 30.
She's 30. It's the 4th time she's done it to her own mother.
Right.
And I know things are different in Brazil, but still.
Right, like your mother thinks you're going to die.
Right.
And you're sending like fake blood and this and that. Honestly, like, look, it is horrible. But the kids were okay. And the only saving grace for the babysitter is that she's 18.
This was the argument/agreement Mike and I had in the office earlier. Like, the airline skipper's not the worst in the world. She's just an entitled dumbass bitch, right?
Right.
But the babysitter, we both, man, she's 18. And while it's not right, I've been 18. I've been there since 1:45. The kid's asleep.
Did my job.
I
Right.
did it, right? I was watching my buddy's kids. But for like 2 hours, we went around the corner to my other buddy's house, and I was like, they're fine. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, they're full adults
Right.
now. They have their own kids.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm like, I can't say she's the worst. Like, as at 17, 18, I did the same thing just to go, this sounds even worse. Drink a beer in my buddy's garage.
I've never done that, but I didn't cut in line. I just played stupid and went to the first class desk because the line was long. So I didn't fake like I had a handicap. I just played stupid. And the woman at the first class desk, she goes, oh, you're in the wrong place. And I did oh, my God, I can't believe that. And so she ended up helping me out anyway.
Yeah, the problem is that traveling through air just sucks so much right now. So that woman gets, like, she might be the worst in my mind.
Debate continues on Who Sucks Less if you follow KISW on Twitter. You are listening to The Men's Room.
99.9 KISW. The shenanigans continue. This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
All right, coming up in minutes, we'll drink and toast with the shot of the day. And we do have the headlines on the way coming up at 5:50. But first, quick check out Mike Hawk and some of the stories and headlines he is not working on.
All right, 19% of people have a member of their quote-unquote extended family living under their roof.
Ugh, family.
Which doesn't shock me, the way that the housing market's gone, the way that the economy has kind of been as far as people's wages and whatnot. It doesn't shock me that families are now starting to congregate again.
Mm-hmm. I definitely get it in places like Seattle or San Fran or New York where the housing prices are absolutely ridiculous.
Exactly.
But in cheaper places, like, you got to go.
Right.
Sometimes you just have that family member, too.
Yeah.
Like, we had an uncle that stayed with us, and, like, then eventually we had to kick him out, too.
Right. Like, you know you don't, like, live here, right?
And for others, it works. I know of a situation where it works great. They love him.
Oh, yeah. It can be fine. He just would never pay his rent.
Oh, that's a problem.
Right. If that's part of your agreement. Right. If I'm letting you stay for free, fine. It is what it is, right? But if you agree to pay rent, like, come on, man.
Yeah, kind of like the kidnapping thing. You could fathom in D.C. getting robbed one day on payday, but it happened 3 months in a row.
Aha.
Oh, I can't pay my rent because I got robbed.
Correct.
Right.
You're showing up at 3 a.m. like you were out partying.
75% of Americans over the age of 55 say their social circle has shrunk as they've gotten older and have just 4 friends that they say that they can count on.
People start dying.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I have a very large social circle.
Yeah.
But there is very few I'd be like, I can count on them.
Sure.
Right. It'd still be about the same number, right? 4
Yeah,
or
that's what
5.
I'm saying. I
I think
even
that's
have
about
some-
a decent number.
Very good friends, but I'm like, in time of need, like, I'm not calling them.
Right.
And that's like, they got their own stuff going on.
You have your close friends, you have your friends, and you have people that you're friendly with, all of which are in your social circle.
I'm trying to trim mine down.
Yeah, I know. That's why I haven't been getting your calls lately. Sorry, buddy. Was it something I said?
I know we shouldn't bring it up after last weekend.
I'm sorry. A 35-year-old man in Israel filmed his dog, quote, driving his car, and he posted it on social media, which is why he was arrested for reckless driving.
The dog crash?
No, I think there was nobody else in the driver's seat.
Ah.
This wasn't a cutesy thing where his dog was sitting in his lap, I don't think. Or maybe it was, and he just didn't have his hands on the wheel.
Just don't post it to social media. That's it. That's all.
What's the point of having your dog drive your car? You can't post it.
Yeah, no,
Right, that is a little harder. Like, I know it's illegal.
Your dog would just crash the car on purpose.
Yeah.
Yes, she would.
What's going on?
Squirrel!
Who's that? Right? Like, dude, you didn't even make it out of the driveway.
Yeah, mine would crash it into a semi-truck. Just kidding. He hates them. I don't know why, but he hates them. A new study found that men are happier in relationships if they think that they're the funny one.
Who isn't happier in a relationship if you think you're the funny one?
Right.
I might be wrong, but you can't tell me otherwise.
There's a new hack trending where people are cleaning their toilet seat in the dishwasher.
Well, as long as you're not washing other dishes with it.
But they were. In this particular video that they showed, and that was the whole thing. People said, dude, we get it, man. You run it. But the video that showed, like, they had their other dishes in there, too, and put the toilet seat in. I'm sure
It depends on the condition of the underside of the toilet.
That's
if you live
what
with,
you look at
If you
first.
live with ladies, you know that there's a lot of cat spray that goes on down there.
Yeah, it looks like a leopard.
It really does. So that's I don't know that you can really get that off. And they're not very expensive. So you can just go buy one.
Exactly.
Seriously, they're not the most expensive thing you can replace.
Come on, man. Over the past month, cashiers have been talking about the purchases that they secretly judged people for buying.
Ooh, all right.
Oh, I'm kind of into this one.
This actually did come around a while back, and we did hear a handful of them, including people that run out of money and put the healthy items back.
Yeah.
People who waste their money on lottery tickets and expensive bottled water. Bizarre combinations like red wine, a can of bug spray, and 2 potatoes. But it does bring us to
The Men's Room Top 10. The Men's Room Top 10. The purchases that cashiers judge you for buying. Like a hot water bottle, 4 feet of rubber hose, Vaseline, and the latest issue of Better Homes and Gardens.
I will say this. Box white wine, condoms, and candy get some looks.
Yeah, but I don't judge. I'm like, I wish I knew you.
About to say, that's not bad looks, I'm thinking, though.
You're getting judged, but it's not bad.
Right.
It's just kind of
Yeah.
like, okay. You're just getting it done.
I like to have a little sweet treat after I'm done.
There you go.
Because the candy really stood out the most. It's like, I wanted to be like, no, man, just like, I'm going to have some candy after we have sex.
What candy you grabbing? You grabbing like a Toblerone or
What's
like
a good
M&Ms or
post-sex candy?
right? What is a good
Miles,
post-sex candy?
what is it? We love them. We eat them all the time.
Reese's peanut butter cups.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I bought like a
not
bag
bad.
of miniatures.
Good call. Good
Yeah.
call.
Does she wear them like pasties?
No, I
you do it
for
right.
afterwards, Mike.
Okay, that
Get your
doesn't mean that
mind
they
out.
can't be in the middle of the action.
It's your preferred. Look, barbecue sauce for the action.
Fair.
Post, Reese's Cups.
My bad. I jumped over the line. My apologies, Ted.
I like the Reese's pasty, though.
I mean, now that he says it, it's not
like,
a
dude,
terrible
I'm
idea.
in. I am in.
I mean, you hear about the Hershey Kiss ones. Why not? Reese's Cup ones.
What if you stick the Hershey Kisses on the front of the Reese's Cup pasty so it looks like erect nipples, but really it's just a chocolate sculpture, right?
I feel like now we're towing into a line where, like, that's so good, I might forget about the sex part.
Baby, can we have sex later?
Hang on, baby, hang on. Just keep covering your nipples. We never had sex. No, but I'm full of candy.
Hang on, man. Oh, my God.
Jesus.
What have we stumbled upon? Oh, Lordy. So purchases that cashiers will judge you for buying, they bring in this one. A grocery worker, this all comes to us from BuzzFeed, by the way. A grocery worker said, everyone buys bananas.
They say, quote, it's a pack of ground beef and bananas. Paper plates, bananas. Didn't matter what they bought, bananas come along with it.
I'm super guilty of that.
Same. I love bananas.
Yeah.
And even, the thing is that, the problem with the other produce with the berries and the apples and whatnot, if it goes bad, you got to throw it away. If bananas go bad, somehow we found the hack that all you got to do is just grind it up and turn it into bread.
Bananas also
Let's
to
make
me,
bread pudding.
There you go.
The bananas are rotten. Let's make bread pudding. Okay.
All right.
And the banana is just the easiest one, right?
Sure.
I feel like it's the easiest fruit to, I love apples, but, you got to kind of hunker. I don't know. It takes more time. But it's like bananas are easy. All right, I need some fruit in the kitchen. That also sounds like an order I've bought before. Paper plates, bananas, and ground beef.
For later.
Ground beef pasties.
Oh, still in.
Ground beef. Just big old meat patties.
Like a little slider on top. I'm getting hungry now. Stop.
This one's got ketchup. This one's got barbecue.
Let's go down to your belly button and find the sweet baby Ray.
All of this works because Miles and I had an idea earlier for the topless tapas bar.
Some cheese on this.
So when your wife goes, you're at a topless bar? You go, no, babe, I was at a tapas bar.
Right.
None of the waitresses were in tops, but it was
it's
a
still
tapas bar.
tapas.
It is.
Delicious. It's a topless tapas.
Oh, yeah, the pinchos were unbelievable.
I ordered the clams. She ordered the mussels.
Honestly, I probably have a little piece of octopus.
God.
I'm just being dead honest.
Nothing sets the mood like octopus.
We know what Ted's thumbnail is.
We're at a Spanish restaurant eating tapas.
Oh, God.
Right, sorry. But Joe, you're 100% right. Any woman, if you said, were you at a strip club? No. We were having tapas.
Tapas bar.
Okay.
Tapas bar.
Small plates.
Another one here. Someone who works at a pet store said that the employees keep tabs on customers who buy cheap little tanks for their betta fish and then question them if they return to buy another betta fish.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Well, with those fish, you can't have them in another tank with another fish. Right?
No, they're...
Or is it just another beta?
You can. They're just... they're aggressive. So
They're the chihuahua of the aquarium world.
They kind of are. They just... Yeah. If you have smaller fish... Don't be surprised if the smaller fish start disappearing.
Yeah.
If it's with another beta, you might be all right. You might also find a dead beta at the bottom of your tank.
A couple of comments from the texters here. It says, I once delivered a DoorDash order for a vibrator, some lube, 2 bottles of Coca-Cola.
All right.
Someone else says, Mila Kunis' nipple is so big, there's no way Reese's full. Jeez. I did not. Says, Google it, it's crazy. I will. And then someone says, grocery worker here. A guy came in, he bought a bouquet of flowers, a bottle of wine, and Herpes L.
What's Herpes for again?
Herpes.
My guess is herpes.
Yep. That walked into that one.
Oh, God. Purchases that cashiers judge you for buying. Number 5. Someone said that they judged people for taking their babies out with them in terrible snowstorms to get non-essential items. Al.
Well, it might be a single parent.
Exactly.
You can't leave them at home. Now, we could have the argument on whether or not I need those non-essential items, but I don't know.
Right. I had to brave the snowstorm for these chips.
By the way, real quick, I'm now looking at Mila Kunis' nipples.
Okay.
I think a Reese's cup would just cover them. They are not huge, right?
No. Yeah.
Mike has physically gotten up.
I didn't know that was available.
Good. I'm looking.
Right? But they're not huge.
Yeah, she's very attractive.
Yeah, those are some fine nipples she has. If I meet her, I'll be sure to tell her.
I
heard you had some big areolas. Girl, I looked it up. You fine. You fine.
You good.
Don't feel weird about them areolas.
We think you're sliding into slider territory.
You're saying she is a step up.
Yeah. No more Reese's cup. That's a slider.
A Bobby Flay slider.
What's up, slider booty? Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm one of those Hawaiian rolls.
That's right. Remember back when Jack in the Box had them little slider? Yeah, you're right around there.
Oh, God. Someone here says, we were having a barbecue and our buddy went to the store. He took our 2 young sons. He bought whipped cream, as they point out, for cobbler and a throwaway camera.
Wow.
That's a bad look.
Getting it done. Number 4, an overnight worker at a convenience store said someone would come in every night to get a, quote, red hot beef burrito and a 16-ounce jug of half and half.
No, late night snack, coffee in the morning, man.
God. These are, wait a minute, like half and half, like the milk? Or like half lemonade, half iced tea?
I'm guessing half and half, like creamer to milk. Right?
Oh, God. Maybe they were just going to be on fire after they got that hot burrito.
God, it reminds me of Leonard.
Oh, it does. Wash it down with some milk.
That man drank a lot of milk.
You know how to get Cheeto dust off your fingers? You dip it in a glass of milk. Everyone that heard that damn near puked in their own mouth. Just because he was being serious.
He was.
Like, oh, gosh. And he drinks the milk as a thing. But to him, there's nothing wrong with that. He was just being dead serious.
Oh, God. Number 3. Let's see. It says, did you know that there are still malls? Some of them still have a Spencer's inside. It's true, and a worker from one of those stores said that they judge people for buying witchcraft spell books.
Oh, God.
Well, you work at a Spencer's.
For real.
I mean, sorry.
Chill, man. It's a gag store.
How about the people that buy the fart spray? You know they're up to no good.
And look, I judge anybody over 30 that's in a Spencer's.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I mean, I'm sure
They still have some cool stuff in there, though. I don't know lately.
Yet again.
I've been in there probably 20 years.
Judging anybody
they
over
used
30.
to have really cool stuff in there. If you want a poster.
As I bought some of my favorite team posters.
Like that kind of stuff, but obviously we're too old to hang a poster in a living room.
Unless you're shopping for like a bachelor or bachelorette party in there.
I still like that. They used to have black light posters.
Oh, yeah.
And sold black lights.
Sure.
So in a weird way, like that would be like, effing, man.
Get the lava lamp to match.
I'm buying a black light. I have one.
But then your buddies would tell you, man, there's a lot of semen in your...
Yeah.
Well, and you're right. I think the last time I went to Spencer's was to go get like some specific T-shirts because I knew I could get them there. I didn't even know they sold sex toys.
Number 2, a worker at a sandwich place was, quote, upset by a person who didn't get enough flavors, and a customer would come in every day and order a bunch of roast beef on rye bread, nothing else.
Well, I mean, it's close. It should be pastrami, to be honest with you, but...
It's probably like the Subway.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Oh, you're not going to get it toasted? Okay.
There used to be a Subway, and this guy...
Wait, what?
It did not,
he would judge.
And it was... When we started talking about it on the air...
Like at the old building?
We started getting emails from people that also worked in our vicinity going, I know exactly what you're talking about. So apparently, no matter what you ordered... Really? You can put green peppers of that? Like, I'm getting this for you.
It's better than the owner. It's better the owner of the store. Who, if he has some green peppers, will put one strip on.
No kidding.
So she wouldn't give you anything, but he would criticize every decision you made.
Yes.
And you know what? Then he stopped working there, and I swear to God, the next time I saw him, I'm at Pacific Place Mall, my kids are real young, they're going to see Santa Claus, and Subway Nazi is dressed as an elf, and he's the guy that kind of takes your order for the number of pictures.
You want that for Christmas?
I was just looking like, that's the most miserable elf ever. Santa would never hire your miserable ass.
But this is without a doubt the number 1 purchase that a cashier would judge you for buying.
Really? Amen.
A worker at a boba place is grossed out when people combine too many flavors like rainbow fruit jelly on a hot chai latte.
I can't believe anybody's sucking those weird tapioca balls with a straw.
I roll my eyes every single time I'm at the coffee shop with the people in front of me.
Yeah, no kidding.
My favorite one is the person who's been sent there with a list to order 8 drinks for the entire office, and no one's there to help them carry it. But I get behind that person like, oh, there's only one person in front of me.
I know.
You're getting 2 carry cases of drinks?
Right. Yeah, you get paid the least.
Dude, all right, I had the one this morning that drives me up a wall just for the workers. I'll have a breakfast sandwich. Like, which, you know, the guys, they're always very nice. And he just points, and he's like, okay, the bacon, egg, and cheese. No, not bacon. Sausage, egg, and cheese? Yes. Like,
say that.
They
Tell
got
him
6
what
sandwiches.
you want.
You're looking at them. You're next to the sign.
Pull up to the drive-thru and go, whatever. Just ring it up for me. You tell me what to get. Dealer's choice.
A woman on TikTok is showing her users how to make soap, but you won't believe what it's made of.
What is it made of, Mike?
I'll tell you all about it at 5:50.
Thank you, sir. Headlines are coming up at 5:50. In the meantime, let's get a contestant on the line for Profile This at 206-421-ROCK.
What's up? It's your boy, the Ted Smith. Thanks for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast. Want more? Check out the greatest podcast in all the land, The Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and listen to a brand new episode every Tuesday night.
All right, minutes to drinking time.
Somebody out there deserves to be recognized. And the men's room knows just who it is. So to you, we say, bottoms up, sailor. you're the toast of our shot of the day.
Drink time it is, and as usual, we head to the Drink Task and Stephen Throwhill to find out who we're toasting.
Yes, indeed. Today we toast 21-year-old Waylon Frears of Buffalo, New York. Now, his story's not funny, but it is to me. Now, he was dating a 19-year-old up until recently. Now, things must have gone south because for whatever reason, she slashed his tires a few months ago, right? Now, we don't have any details on why she did it, but they're not together anymore. But she recently reached out to him and offered to make amends by paying him back for the tires. And you're like, all right, fair enough. So this past Monday, Labor Day, she said she'd meet up with him at a local Burger King parking lot to give him the cash. And he showed up. There she was, as she said she would. He rolled down the window, and she reached in, and she slashed him. She stabbed him in the chest.
Jesus.
Now, the good news is he's okay. He drove himself to the hospital, and they released him after he got stitched up. But the cops had to track her down. They found a knife with a 3.5-inch blade. No word on if it was the same knife that she slashed the tires with, but she's facing attempted murder charges. Think about that.
She's stable.
She slashes your tires. The next time you see her, she stabs you in the chest.
Thanks.
I can't imagine why they broke up.
What do we say in the office? Like, well, at least we know her thing. It's knives.
Yeah, she sticks with that. That is her MO. She knows what she likes to work with.
I don't think I've ever dated anybody I thought would really stab me.
No. I mean, think about it. There's people who I think would stab me now that we've broken up, but not during the time.
I've been in situations where I did not keep a gun in the house.
Really?
Sure.
You just thought like, ooh.
I didn't know you had a gun.
I was thinking about getting one until I realized the situation.
Just like, maybe I don't do that.
Well, don't get me wrong. I've dated a girl that I know would punch me.
Oh, yeah, I can live with that.
I've had girls punch me.
I feel like, look, I can earn a punch. I don't believe I've earned a stab.
I've been physically assaulted. I just don't want to die.
Yeah, that's the difference. So we pour this booze and we drink this booze because we think it's yummy.
Yummy!
So over the tongue and down the throat to party in our tummies. Down the hola bichola!
The Men's Room presents Profile This.
And Stephen Throwhill, could you please tell everyone how Profile This is played?
I sure can, Miles. It's a simple game where we share with you a real-life news story, something that happened right here on planet Earth. And as you listen to the story, based on the stereotypes you believe to be true of people and the decisions that people make, we'll ask you what it is you think makes a story a story. Hello, Patrick. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola!
Hola! All right, Patrick, you understand how this here game is played?
I do.
That's fantastic. You know, then you have your choice of one of three stories. The Wonderful World of Drugs. We have Bite Me. In other words, what did someone find in their food? And finally, Interior Decorating, where you guess the foreign object that ended up on the inside of someone.
Let's go Interior Decorating.
All right, here's the story. A man who was rushed to the hospital with something up his backside had been in agony for days, but he hadn't told his wife because he was embarrassed and then, as he adds, frightened of her. Now, the man was rushed to the hospital suffering from anorexia, abdominal pain, and not being able to poop. But the 50-year-old patient who had a history of depression, he knew what the root cause was. He just hadn't fessed up to his wife because he was embarrassed and terrified of her. The report states that the man didn't appear unwell when the doctors first checked him out in February, but an ultrasound quickly spotted a foreign body which had been stuck up the backside. He was taken through for surgery where the object was carefully and slowly dragged from the rectum to the opening of the anus, and it was successfully extracted by the surgeon without rupture or bleeding. The report states, quote, because of his embarrassment and fear of his wife, he did not provide any history of the presence of the foreign object in the rectum and arrived at the emergency department late. The patient, who's been referred to a psychiatrist, was kept in the hospital for 5 days and follow-up checks showed no evidence of bleeding or injury. When he was discharged, he was described as being in good general condition without incontinency, and a follow-up examination a month later found no further issues. The report adds that most foreign bodies inserted on people's backsides are there for sexual gratification, meaning they're usually smooth, which makes removal easier. So with that in mind, what did he slip up his backside but not tell his wife he did? Was it a glass bottle, an ink pen, a cell phone, or toothbrush? So glass bottle, ink pen, cell phone, or toothbrush. One of those four, he inserted up the backside.
Oh, man. What are you thinking, Ted?
Right, so he didn't want to tell his wife.
He did not want to tell. So he dealt with it for 5 days knowing he was not doing well, but I think he just wanted to go to the hospital on his own.
don't know. I mean, cell phone would just be tough because I feel like you'd have to double line, be like, yeah, I need a new phone. I lost mine.
Yes, I go to Verizon first. That's exactly what I do. Call me. It's on vibrate. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're going to do
Is it an electric toothbrush?
I don't know, sir.
Yeah. You know what? Toothbrush makes the most sense. I'm going cell phone, though.
Okay. Patrick, what are you thinking?
Let's see if I can charge it.
Let's go toothbrush.
Toothbrush for Patrick. I'm going to go glass bottle. What was in his rectum? Glass bottle, ink pen, cell phone, or toothbrush? We'll find out next.
That was a tease.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
All right, categories, interior decorating. On profile this, we got a man who had something up his backside for days. He did not want to go to the hospital because he felt his wife would not be too understanding.
He said he was terrified, that's a quote, of his wife.
Good news, surgeons did successfully remove the object. Question is, was it a glass bottle, an ink pen, a cell phone, or a toothbrush?
Yes, indeed, and Patrick, that is the very question that we posed to you. You asked if I meant an electric toothbrush. There's no way for me to know. But you went toothbrush. I'm sorry, it was not a toothbrush. Although one texter did say, I think it's a toothbrush, but I think it's his wife's.
Doing you dirty.
Lee Ted Smith, you went with the cell phone.
Cell phone.
Once again, not a cell phone. But we had a texter that said, I hope it's a cell phone just so you can do the Adele and say hello from the other side. Oh. Miles Montgomery.
Hello from the dark side.
You went with the bottle.
That's what I would do. Yes! Oh, that's it. We track. This guy and me.
Glass bottle at the backside.
I'm home alone for the weekend.
Somebody here, another texter says, bottle. That's what the guess is. But they add, I just had someone with a 1 liter pop bottle.
People ask me all the time when I check it out, do you think the Mexican Coke in the glass bottle is really better? And I say yes.
For what? That's what,
I see. That's why you drink them?
Yeah. You thought it was the cane sugar, didn't you?
I did. Like a jackass.
I know, right?
Yeah, nothing to do with taste, man. It's a smooth bottle.
Well, it has a little bit to do with taste.
Now for all TV news all time for TV Time with Ted.
And now, because your pathetic life is confined to countless hours in front of a talking box, the Men's Room presents TV Time with Ted.
All right, your choices
today.
Oh, it must be after Labor Day.
Yeah, all right.
They've all been gone for like 18 months.
You got the Jimmys, and Jimmy Kimmel is there.
We had a nice vacation.
When is the last time he hosted his... Even before... And I understand that most late night guys, they take off 2 to 3 weeks before Labor Day. They come back the Tuesday following. But I felt like he was not there for months leading, or at least weeks.
Was, but I respect what Kimmel does. He does what old shows used to do.
David Brenner, Joan Rivers. All in Tonight Show.
For the time, right? He takes off almost the whole summer, but he just puts in guest host.
I feel like he took a legit month, maybe month and a half off.
But when he said that, I want to spend time with my family, my kids, especially with his kid's heart condition, all that stuff. When that happened, he's like, "Look, I'm taking the time off."
And it almost makes the show more fun that there's a guest host in there.
Sure,
better than a repeat.
Plus, I feel like in the summertime, whoever you are, even stuff on that late at night, I don't think you watch as much of it. You also have Seth Meyers.
Okay.
Yeah, because, right, even if you have kids at home, like...
Summer's different.
Right, they're
kids are up later. Yeah.
Or Ted Smith.
Is it Ted or is it late night?
It's right there, the title. These guys have talent to choose the writers, come over monologues each and every night. It is up to you to determine, is this an actual late night joke and from whom, or could it be a The Ted Smith original?
The lawsuit brought on by Spencer Eldon, who has appeared as a naked infant on the cover of a Nirvana album back in 1999, has been dismissed by a California judge, who, when reached for comment, simply said, "Never mind."
Ted Smith.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's fine.
I cannot believe he's still doing... Like, how many judges do you need to throw it out going, bro, stop. Just stop.
You didn't care about it when you were getting money and fame.
Right. How about all the chicks
remember,
on the cover?
He made like a documentary out of it.
Right. That's kind of what kills your case. You've never expressed that it bugged you until you decided you wanted money.
After 2 failed attempts to launch their new moon rocket, NASA has announced that they have postponed the mission until at least next month. Even more annoying, they still texted the moon, "Be there in 15."
Valid.
Yeah, that's valid.
after 2 failed attempts to launch their new moon rocket, NASA has postponed the mission until at least next month. Even more annoying, they still texted the moon there in 15.
There is a fruit fly hovering around my microphone. That's why I look like a madman.
Stop farting, man.
I don't know if I look at my hand motion.
I thought you were just making fun of Jimmy Fallon.
Oh! Oh, the hand motion?
Guys.
No, that's the SWAT away a fruit fly.
There's a fruit fly in the studio. So,
our boy Joey from Barstool, he does pretty good Jim Fallon.
Does he?
Yeah. A E. coli outbreak linked to the lettuce at Wendy's has now spread to 6 different states and 97 people. Chipotle heard about it and was like, 97? We do that in a day.
Fallon.
Yeah, Fallon.
Yeah, it's Fallon.
Hey guys, I read that an E. coli outbreak linked to the lettuce at Wendy's has now spread to 6 different states and sickened 97 people. Ooh, yeah. Meanwhile, Chipotle heard that and was like, 97? Please, we do that in a day.
New footage of the Titanic wreck has recently been released in the highest screen resolution available. They zoomed in as far as they could, and bad news, folks, no survivors.
Ted Smith.
Ted Smith.
Sapphire!
New footage of the Titanic wreckage was recently released in the highest screen resolution currently available. They zoomed in as far as they could, and bad news, you guys, no survivors.
Still.
Yeah. I will mention, I did watch some of the Storm game last night. I mean, look, the Las Vegas Aces.
Aces, yes.
Best team in the league all year.
Correct. Now, do I think the Storm got screwed on, what was that, Sunday? Was that Sunday afternoon or?
Before it went to OT, yeah.
Or you just run down the court.
Yeah, right. That was clearly travel. But also, like, it sucks for Sue Bird, sucks for Storm fans. Dom, I know you're out there, but Las Vegas is just a better team.
They're a better team. They did get screwed, though.
They did.
Hold on to that.
Yeah, Storm made it that far, though.
They did. Yeah, it was good. The other thing I watched a little bit last night, and I always bring up the network Vice. I feel like I'm the only person in this room that actually watches it.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a show for years called Dark Side of the Ring, which was about the kind of dark side of wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
Which honestly, again, that show's almost too intense. The wrestling stuff is insane.
That's why I don't watch Vice. They do an excellent job. It's a little thing called, and most of this has gone away, even the networks would admit, investigative reporting, right? That's where you put your resources, and then you reconvene in a month or whatever it is, and you just, there's no opinion. It's like, this is just what it is. But Dark Side of the Ring was one of the shows that I would end up watching, and it was fascinating and depressing every time.
You're right. I should watch more Vice, because the best part about Vice is I watch a lot of PBS. So I watch Nova and Frontline, and they're investigating stuff.
Sure.
Investigative stuff. But Vice, like PBS would never do a
wrestling
hour. Like there's more there's bigger fish to fry.
Vice deals with everything.
Correct.
Right. I mean, you're right. They have a lot of interesting shit. The other one I watch is always The Search for Q. Just kind of going in behind that whole, whatever that thing is. So, like, that one's good, and they talk to a lot of people.
A joke that still works. That's what that is.
But they also have a new series called The Dark Side of Comedy.
Uh-oh.
Now, obviously, you know, comedy has some dark stuff in it. Look, most comedians are going to come from a dark place because it's a defense technique.
It is. It's your defense mechanism. Yeah. Make your life better by laughing about it.
But there's not as much murder and violence like the wrestling one, the Dark Side of the Ring. Sometimes because it was just like, this is awful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Dark Side of Comedy is just as bad. Like, it's not like there's not that much violence as much. So last night I watched one on Roseanne Barr, right? And I had kind of like, because I was younger, like I didn't realize how quickly she shot to fame once she started doing stand-up and everything. And again, going back to the Tonight Show with Carson, then she gets her own show. I also didn't realize on the original run of Roseanne, like they were trying to kill off her character or get done with her like the second season.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like the network, you know, muckety mucks, as you would say, like they never cared for her. Which is also kind of ironic because it's like, right, well, back in the day, she just wanted more control of her show that had her name on it.
Correct.
And also, she's like, the character's name is Roseanne. Like, when I say Roseanne wouldn't say that, like, I mean it.
Also in the world of Tony Danza, using her own name.
Correct. Yeah, but they have, like, her first husband in there. Tom Arnold doesn't show up a lot, which doesn't shock me. But, like, they have interviews with her kids and stuff. And all of it is pretty open and honest. It's not like hit pieces or whatever.
Right.
They just kind of give you the story. But then the new one I watched was on Artie Lang. So, right. Now, obviously, a lot of people know who Artie Lang is. In our industry, we know him because of working with Howard Stern for years. Yeah. But also, like, he was on Mad TV. And I forget some of the people that were on Mad TV. You know Orlando Jones, very funny comedian. Mm-hmm. But, like, after Artie screws up, like, the first year, he actually, like, gets his act together, like, goes to rehab or whatever. And then Orlando Jones is like, hey, you know what? Just stay with me. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm single at the time. I don't have kids. Like, just stay with me. Let's keep it going. But then, of course, Artie falls off the wagon, and this and that. And they go into detail that famous story of him dressed up as a pig for Babe Watch instead of Baywatch. And it's like he's a pig on the beach and everything. But then they're like, he's in his dressing room just doing copious amounts of cocaine. He's dressed as the pig. And then he comes out and is like, I am like the, like, it's just that it's more that mental, like, self-hating kind of depressing stuff in this show. To his credit, though, they all say the same thing. It's like, man, he must have been on drugs for 20 some hours. And like that, there's very few times where he didn't perform. You know, there's just like finally towards the end, it was just like, you know, what's always like Farley died the same way with like, and I know Artie's still around. Yeah. But like the speedballs, right? Right. You're doing uppers and you're doing downers and it used to be cocaine and heroin. So like the only time they had to throw him off set is just like he's been high for like 30 some hours and just can't come down. I think, and we've seen that with Charlie Sheen, right? Yeah. When he lost his mind. Like I do believe he could have passed the drug test at that time. But you're so far out there and you're still so high. Like you're manic. You can't come down from that high. So, yeah, the Artie stuff was crazy, right? And then he ends up, you know, he gets that movie, Dirty Work. Norm loves him, takes him in to meet Howard. He gets that job, and then it's kind of interesting hearing some of Howard Stern stuff too. It's like he's like, I didn't think I was doing anything bad. He's like, it's entertainment, but then after a while, it's like, am I at fault? He's like, I don't know. Right. He's like, I just had the guy working on the show, so it's a super interesting show. If you're into comedy, I highly recommend it. It's not going to be the most uplifting thing. Sure. But even some of the stories they told about Artie, like, I have seen videos of him. I have heard some of the stories they told. It is amazing that guy's still alive. Like, good on him. Yeah. Right? And, hopefully he's got stuff together now, but it's just like, there's certain people, but some of the numbers. And also, he always makes fun of the fact he's such a big dude. But he loved cocaine, right? Which is kind of funny too. He's got to be one of the only people I've ever heard of being that far out of cocaine who still love to eat.
Doesn't eat for 3 days, but then when he eats, he eats.
Yeah, right.
Thing,
yeah. That took me years to learn. I was like, how's that guy have a belly? They're like, it's a coke belly. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, oh, they won't eat for days on end, and then
it's like a rock cheat day without doing the exercise.
All right, Disney Plus Day is coming up. Woo! People are excited.
They get a lot of stuff.
Yeah, new stuff comes out, so a lot of people like it. It's happening. It's tomorrow, then a bunch of stuff this weekend. Mike, the premiere of the live-action Pinocchio with Tom Hanks as Geppetto.
I'm stoked.
Yeah,
honestly, Pinocchio was one of my favorite movies growing up. So I'm excited to see how this adaptation goes.
Yeah, well, and I hope they focus on how weird Geppetto was.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Tom Hanks as Geppetto still looks weird in the commercial, so I hope I'm able to get over it.
Well, and the live action stuff is a little tougher to take.
Let me ask you this. Has anyone seen the Tom Hanks, Mr. Rogers stuff?
No, I do want to.
I have not seen that either. I meant to watch it and it just kind of went over my head.
Same.
I forgot.
It never showed up on a streaming platform.
Tom Hanks plays roles. He typically does not play other characters you know.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Sure.
Well, I mean, we learned about Forrest Gump through
You're
Tom
right,
Hanks.
though. This is like a back-to-back where
Forrest
Mr.
Gump
Rogers
is
Geppetto.
Right.
He played the dude, Somalian pirate
Phillips.
showed up. Thank you, Captain Phillips.
Sully.
He was Sully.
He has done that.
But more recently.
But also,
as he gets older, they give him those roles.
Wasn't Philadelphia based on a real guy?
It was. But you don't know that person as a person of
I was about to say, we don't know who Captain Phillips is and how he acts. We don't know how Sully reacts. We don't know how the Philadelphia guy is. I grew up, watching Pinocchio. I know the Geppetto that I know. I know the Mr. Rogers that was on TV on PBS every morning.
Did you like Mr. Rogers?
I enjoyed Mr. Rogers, yes.
I did not.
I can't tell you a whole lot of what he did because it was at an age where I don't have memory of, but I do know that I watched Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, Mike, Muppets Lamb chop I'd mess around with. But yeah, Mr. Rogers was never high on my list.
Mess around with some lamb chop.
Well, you know, I'm just like, I don't know. Mr. Rogers always seemed a little judgy about his neighborhood.
See what else never ends.
There's some new stuff on the hair. Thor, Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
It's also
I named my fist.
Thunder. A new Simpsons short where Lisa learns that being a villain might be more fun than being a princess.
For sure.
Thrill, good news. Sing-along versions of Frozen and Frozen 2.
Whoa. My God.
Hey, you might have to lie and say that's
I'm
not
sure
real.
you might see that.
No comprende English.
They got something for you, too.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. Behind-the-scenes documentary.
I already know. I'm already on it.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes. You're my only hope.
Called Obi-Wan, A Jedi's Return. Flavor Town. It also stars Guy Fieri. Yeah.
You got a lightsaber with donkey sauce.
There's tauntaun sauce, Steve.
Tauntaun sauce.
It tastes better on the inside. It smells horrible, but tastes delicious. Thank you, Tim. We appreciate it. You're listening to Men's Room.
The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill. Now, let's see what's happening in the real world.
All right, here we go. Florida drivers should not be shocked to see a huge alligator tied to the back of a man's car. Meanwhile, Ukrainian hackers send Russian soldiers hot pics of women and find out their location from afar. Babysitter's arrested after leaving 4-year-old home alone. Hey, this bar of soap smells like breast milk and cologne. And a man returns the library book 40 years later. He actually paid the overdue fees. It's time for your headline.
Now, it's time to hit the headlines. Here's my cop.
All right, our top story, we take to the internet where one woman is showing her followers her DIY product. She's taking a TikTok, uploading a video that shows people how to make soap right there in your own home using, you guessed it, breast milk. People have found several uses for breast milk over the years, and she claims that using breast milk as soap is good for the skin and also helps treat baby acne.
I'm sure she's right. I just don't know that we have enough breast milk to go around.
I'm 41. Like, do I still need breast milk to help my skin, or is it just for babies?
Well, I don't know, Ted. Maybe you should try it. We'll see if you are glowing.
What if you look like Gavin Rosdale?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's probably vampire blood. Nobody looks that good.
You cannot look that good at his
What if it
age.
was breast milk?
How old is he?
I don't know, but when you see him, like, dude literally glows, man. I mean, you're just like, you've got to be kidding me.
But he's got a skin routine.
You know he does.
You know he does.
I got a skin routine.
It's
I
breast milk.
Yeah, I use the scrub once every 2 weeks because I always forget.
That man is 56 years old.
Damn.
Like me with flossing.
Yeah, but you're just bad at dancing.
I said flossing.
I know, Mike. I have to fight the urge every time he brings it up because I know he's going for one joke.
In other news, sticking with the internet, someone has taken to Twitter with a challenge. The post says it all, pleading for the likes by saying, quote, "My mom's getting a colonoscopy Thursday, being tomorrow. My dad said that she should stick a piece of paper in her butt crack that says, quote, I've been trying to reach you regarding your car's extended warranty. I told her if this gets 10,000 likes, she has to do it. She agreed. Internet, do your thing," end quote. As of writing this story, it's up to 8,600 likes, though there's already been an edit saying that they're switching it to a handwritten note drawn on her rear cheek instead for
I would say, because what if they go up there and say, we can't do it now because there's something in there and it's going to cause a problem?
You have some sort of a blockage.
Exactly.
I'm just going to refresh this here real quick, see where they're at as far as the head count. Okay, they're at 8,800 likes. So they're on their way. They're getting there. To Nebraska, where the overdue library book story has taken an interesting twist. We all know how it goes. A man in college goes to his local library, checks out a book in 1983, and just forgets to return it. Now, over 40 years later, the library actually got a package in the mail containing the forgotten book, along with a note of apology and explanation from the renter, as well as a check for the late fees incurred over that time, which amounted to $58 according to the check amount.
That's it?
$58.
40 years late, $58.
Right?
All right.
I feel like every time these things get returned, it's like a $350 bill or something like that.
I guess it depends on the library. But it seems like a remarkably low number for, 40 years overdue.
I did like that the name of the book was a little bit ironic. It was Sabbatical, a romance.
And then he went on sabbatical after he got in.
The book was on sabbatical.
Book's on sabbatical. Pure chaos situation in North Las Vegas. A collision occurred on the local road after a car tried to take a U-turn into center lane, which caused another car to collide with the front, unfortunately ejecting both occupants of the first car. Ooh. All three involved in the crash were taken to the hospital, but the driver of the second car was behaving so erratically that she had to be sedated by officials while getting into the into the ambulance. A small baggie of cocaine fell out of her bra, leading officials to test and confirm that she was under the influence of cocaine at the time of the crash. Meanwhile, the driver of the first car did unfortunately pass from their injuries, but was under the influence themselves. This one on methamphetamine.
A lot of people driving way too fast in Vegas.
Yes.
On drugs.
Yeah. Let's not. And that is it for your headlines. With that, Mike Hawkins out.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Men's Room Happy Hour is up next, along with the lovely Taryn Daly. We'll see you tomorrow for Big Dummy and the head chef Ted's Meat and Potatoes.
Yes, indeed. It's all true. But in the meantime, well, we'll be all about this bitch for 180 seconds or so. So until then, please do what you do best. And for Aletha's sake, stay beautiful.
The Men's Room has been taped before a live studio audience. Wardrobe and makeup provided by Mantastic Limited. This has been a presentation of the Men's Room Radio Network. Oh, man! A Double Flush production.